Broadcasting stations.
It's time for Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. The first hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Sports Time. If that doesn't get you amped up on a Friday afternoon, I don't know what will. Bryant Dacus, Brett Norsworthy, Jay Morgan Harder with you, and the Alabama fight song bringing us in to start the show. A big game for them this weekend. A fight song Friday for us. A Friday football forecast Friday for us. Whew, it's going to be a good weekend. High school football tonight, week 2 in college football tomorrow. Week 1 in the NFL kicked off last night and will continue on Sunday. It's going to be a lot of fun. But Brett Norsworthy is not with us here in our Family Leisure studios. He's down in New Orleans for the big game for the Ole Miss Rebels and Tulane this weekend. Brett, how you doing this afternoon?
I'm doing great. We'll hear from the Texas Longhorn fight song at 4 o'clock. And at 5 o'clock, the Memphis Tigers on their way over to Jones Boogie for the big game against Arkansas State. Friday football fiesta underway, and I am on our Family Leisure studios, 14 floors above Canal Street.
Oh, wow. How about that? A good view, I hope.
I have a really good view, a really good view.
Good.
And Canal Street, one of my favorite promenades, avenues, drive, streets, roads in the country. One sachet down Canal, and you can get all of New Orleans in one fell swoop.
Get it all in. That's great. Well, what's the scene like? Have many Ole Miss fans made it down? I know you said limited in space yesterday in terms of the game on Saturday, but
you know, it always feels like a lot more at the team hotel, kind of in the eye of the storm than actually is represented. I think tomorrow it is an impossible ticket in New Orleans. Tulane friends of mine said that they can't get tickets for people that normally, they can get plenty of tickets for most games, although they said they had a real crush last year for the AAC championship game, and they had a crush a few years ago. I think they played Oklahoma here, and that was big. Wow. But they think tomorrow's going to top that, and I think it's going to settle in to 26,000 Tulane fans, and the rest to make up the 30,000 capacity will be Ole Miss fans. But that's life on the road. As I said yesterday, I don't think it's incumbent for the home team to accommodate the visitor in anything.
Yeah, no, and we talked about it yesterday, and I think we both said we're glad that they're playing it at their home stadium. I think, when you talk about college football, that's how it should be at a home environment.
That's it.
Especially, a smaller stadium like the one Tulane has, more of a campus atmosphere, a college atmosphere, instead of playing it in a megadome or something. So I'm really excited about that game last night. But I was really excited yesterday for the start of the NFL season. And, Brett, it did not disappoint. Detroit versus Kansas City. It was a really fun game from start to finish.
And I'm going to take some credit for our analysis of that game. And now, look, I missed on the availability of Kelsey, and we got that right before we got off last night. But they obviously missed him. But we didn't miss on that Kansas City receiving core. And this is being kind, pedestrian at best.
Yeah.
And on the defensive side for Detroit, the big play for Brian Branch.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I was a little surprised last night, not really of the Kansas City receivers, but how good the secondary was for Detroit. I mean, I know they were on my way home last night from up here. They were talking about it before the game started of how bad that secondary was last year in pass defense for the Lions. They go out, they sign some free agents, they make some moves in the offseason, and especially early on, Chiefs had to do everything in their power just to get separation with their receivers and some of those DBs. So I was very impressed with that last night. But you're right. The drop balls last night today, Kadarius Toney has kind of been the highlighted part of that receiving corps because of some of the drop passes. One that hits his hands and then flips up and turns into a pick six. And you said it yesterday that you're not impressed by this wide receiver group, and especially with Travis Kelce out last night, it definitely became a big sore thumb.
I thought for last year's Alabama defense, I thought Brian Branch made more or as many big plays as Will Anderson and Dallas Turner did. Now, I don't think he's better than either one of those players, and the draft showed that with the Will Anderson selection a long time before Brian Branch got drafted. But when we were talking draft back in the spring, I said to get him in that spot and what he's been through, the Bama building, the Bama machine, Dan Campbell had to be happy. But Detroit had to have that win last night. They had to pull that out because they just wouldn't have been taken seriously, honestly, again, until Thanksgiving Day.
No, you're absolutely right. And I kind of brought this up yesterday and talked about it kind of like going into this year after they were the Hard Knocks team of last year and was pretty good down the stretch of the season last year. It seemed like there was a lot of hype. The media was hyping them up. The NFL was giving them a lot of primetime games, nationally televised games. And I didn't know if I wanted to buy in on that hype yet, but then you watch what they did last night, and you're right. With that win, that helps a ton in terms of that hype that it seems like a lot of people are trying to generate around this team.
A little bit like surrounding Colorado. And Coach Sanders said earlier this week, you want respect, go earn it. Go win ball games. And Dan Campbell, I maybe first in line ripping him when he was hired. And now it looks like a great fit for them and fun story. And Jared Goff, again, how good he was with the football last night. Protecting the football, taking care of things. He didn't go over his passing yards. I thought he would. It just missed. That's how good Vegas was. They are, and because they had that number set almost perfectly, and he didn't go over. He didn't go over, but he takes care of the ball, and he made some throws last night. Into shoe boxes. Yeah. And I don't know why. Kind of along with Kirk Cousins, they're almost made fun of. Jared Goff, now, unlike Kirk Cousins, Jared Goff has was number one draft pick and led a team to a Super Bowl.
Yeah. Well, I think the biggest part is they're just not super flashy quarterbacks. You look around the league at a lot of these flashy quarterbacks like to get out of the pocket, run, make highlight plays, and neither one of them do that. They just drop back in the pocket, sit in the pocket.
They do a lot of good things.
When you're looking for a quarterback to do the right thing, those are two guys you look at, and that's why they've had these long careers in the NFL as starting quarterbacks. And I just don't think when it comes to people talking about quarterbacks, they're just not flashy, and I like that about them. But in terms of hype, it just doesn't generate a ton of hype.
In a potential redraft of everybody in the league, this is a hard one for both of y'all. Okay. Good afternoon, Jay Morgan. In a potential redraft of everyone in the league, do you think Dallas, if they could take Jared Goff or Kirk Cousins, would they do it overtaking Dak Prescott? With the known, with what they've seen, they've been through, all the money's even, all the salary cap's even, all that stuff's even. Just in a world today, they could have either Kirk Cousins or Jared Goff over Dak Prescott.
I'm going to say a firm no.
I'm going to say a shaky yes.
I'm going to say a... What's the combination between firm and shaky? A furky? I got to be careful.
You got to be careful with that
one. I'm going to say a combination of those two without throwing out new words. Yes. Same draft, same thing, same dynamic. Arizona, Kyler Murray, healthy, or Cousins and Goff?
I'll say a somewhat less shaky yes.
Yeah, no, a firm yes there.
Yes.
No, there's no way.
Yes.
They would much rather have those two guys.
I think so.
Does nothing for you at the team store. No jersey pop. No nothing. But on Sunday, pretty doggone effective.
Helps a lot, especially with
Imagine
Kyler,
that. And that's the object, isn't it?
That's right. Well,
or is the object the team store?
Well, it depends who's the owner, because sometimes when it comes to Jerry Jones, I wonder. Even though there's a lot of winning for the Cowboys.
Yeah, the perfect world is you win and you sell in the team store.
But man, Jerry knows how to sell things, and it's pretty evident a lot of times.
We are excited about this day. We appreciate everyone listening to us. I think people can tell how much we love doing this and trying to do a good, responsible show for them, and we do. But the incident last night at FedEx Forum, coupled with yet another downtown power outage today, goodness, we've got a lot of things to correct. I don't know how that happened last night, a shooting inside FedEx Forum, because Bryant, we both know how, I would say fairly rigorously, we are checked when we go to events there, media or not. And it's an extremely bad look, and a person was is hospitalized, right?
Yes.
How serious?
So it was critical condition when they took him in, but I believe now the individual's stable. So from what I just
wish so many people that so badly want to celebrate some made up bogus holiday of 901 Day would get as energized and agitated about a shooting inside FedEx Forum and yet another power outage.
Yeah, I mean, it's 2 bad days for downtown Memphis for sure. But I mean, you talk about how big of a story the White Sox incident was a couple weeks ago. I mean, this should be a bigger story. I mean,
it really should be.
Getting a weapon into the FedEx Forum is crazy. I was there the night before, and like you said, I mean, it checked very rigorously. My girlfriend carries a like super small Dr. Pepper with her everywhere because she gets lightheaded sometimes, and so she needs sugar. And before we went in, I said, don't take that in, because they're not going to let you go in with that. They're going to tell you to take it out, so might as well, instead of having to throw it away, take it out of your purse right now and be good. And sure enough, when we went in, someone beside us had a drink, and they said, you can't bring this in here.
Yeah.
So you're right. I don't know how it got in there. I know MPD came out this morning and said that they believe it was premeditated. So I don't know all of the ins and outs of how it happened, why it happened, but it's a terrible look, and it's going to be national news. It's going to be something that I think that it needs to be taken extremely seriously, because that's terrifying. I mean, the fact that thousands of people went to a concert last night to enjoy music and an artist that they like, and from what I heard, I think the actual artist, there was a lot of openers, there was a lot of stuff before, but the actual artist that was the headliner, Lil Baby, did 3 songs before that happened, and obviously the concert didn't go on after that. So for a lot of people that had nothing to do with what happened last night, they probably spent a good amount of money on tickets to go see probably their favorite artist, very excited about it, and didn't get to see much of them, which is extremely sad.
And endangered.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's definitely scary, and it's going to be a bad look, and I hope that this is something that obviously is tragic and terrible, but that we can now see it, and they can take the right measures no matter how they got in. There's no possible good reason that someone with a weapon should be able to get into FedEx Forum.
You mentioned what happened at the White Sox game, and then last night had the protracted delay by a couple of trust fund dilettante dopeheads holding up action again for whatever protest, whatever cause du jour, and their cause is always so important. and the question I ask about what happened in Chicago, I ask it about the shooter last night and those 2 nitwits at Flushing Meadow last night. What happened after the incident?
Yeah.
I mean, did Daddy's Trust Fund come in and bail everybody out last night at the tennis tournament? Or the terrorist organization is what I call it that they're associated with. Do they have a bail fund set ready to go so when they glue themselves to the ground? I know this. Next time somebody glues themselves to something, I don't care what it rips, shreds, and tears, ripping them up from the glue, they need to do it immediately and play on.
Yeah, I can never now see one of these protests during a sporting event and not think back to a couple years ago when
in Minneapolis,
in Minneapolis and here at FedEx Forum when
that was handcuffs, wasn't
right?
it?
That was a little different, but it still stopped the game, and it was about a 10-15 minute delay.
But we could separate them from the handcuffs to whatever they're cuffed to, too, and whatever rips, tears, or shreds, undoing them, do it.
Yeah, and the thing about that, I was at that game when that happened, and I mean, nobody knew, first off, what was going on. Then nobody knew why they were protesting, what they were protesting, why they decided to do it. And I don't think we ever got a straight answer. I think eventually, a week later, we figured out what it was, but it didn't seem extremely effective.
And to some nabobs that want to defend that, I just ask them this. Let's reverse all the circumstances. And let's say somebody's trying to get to a flight to go somewhere, or somebody's trying to get to a wedding, or trying to get to a funeral of a loved one, and somebody's cause holds up everybody else.
Oh, yeah.
Are we going to let just a few have that much power over the rest of us? And you just wonder when enough's enough.
Yeah, it's wild, and it seems like it's becoming more and more prevalent at these sporting events, especially the big ones. I mean, you see some of these big-time tennis tournaments and golf tournaments and stuff like that, where you're starting to see it more and more. It's
Book it at the Ryder Cup in 2 weeks.
I believe it. I would not put it past anybody at all. But let me set up today's show before we get to top and not top story of the day. At 3:30, we're going to talk to Alan Bell from CBS Sports and The Early Edge. We'll do some wagering with Alan Bell. We'll take a look at a lot of these Week 1 NFL games. After last night, we'll get his thoughts on Detroit's win, but then we'll go through a lot of the games this week. In 3:45, we'll talk Tigers versus Arkansas State. We'll also take a quick look at some of the other games in the American this weekend, but we'll use most of our time talking about the Tigers and their game this weekend. 4 o'clock, Bruce Marshall from Vegas Insider, CBS Sports, and his new website, bamsports.com, which if you haven't gone over there, I spent a lot of time over there last week, and you need to go check it out because it is a very, very good website with all of Bruce's picks and different things over there. Bruce is going to talk some college football with us. We'll get his thoughts on a lot of these games this weekend in Week 2. 4:30, we'll take a look at Ole Miss versus Tulane and some of the other big-time SEC matchups this weekend. 4:45, big number of the day. 5 o'clock, Ty Richardson from ESPN Arkansas will join us to talk Razorbacks. We'll also get his thoughts on some of the other teams and matchups in the SEC. 5:30, we'll get to our First National Bank and Trust Friday football forecast. And at 5:45, we'll wrap up the day. We'll wrap up the week with Taco Bell Crunch Time. We're sitting in the Family Leisure Studios where family and fun come together. The world's biggest spa sale. It's back and bigger than ever. 50 different models to choose from, 5 different manufacturers. Up to 30% off in-stock spas and swim spas. Free upgrades on all in-stock spas. And that 24-month same-as cash, it's still available only at Family Leisure, 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40.
He's Bryant, I'm Brett. J. Morgan Harder, our producer. We're Sportstime, 901-360-8255 to text or to call. This hour of our show brought to you every day by Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Great offers on all 2023 models and always special leasing options. The one and only Lexus dealership in town, and you can contact them at 901-334-9673. Drive in luxury and confidence, knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Stop by today at Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of the all-new 2023 flagship LS500, and you'll be looking and you'll be driving in style. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and they make for the luxury driving experience. Online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
Well, my top story of the day is the NFL is officially back after the first game of the season last night. Detroit with a 1-point win over Kansas City, 21-20. Kansas City looked like they were missing something in a big way with Travis Kelce out. The receivers didn't step up like you really wanted them to. And Chris Jones not being there definitely hurt them. But for Detroit, I think this was a perfect scenario for them. I mean, it couldn't have played out any better for them. Getting a Week 1 win over the defending champions with all of this hype around them and what they could be under Dan Campbell. And then early in the first quarter, Dan Campbell going for it on 4th and 2 inside the 20. It's incredible. Went for it on 4th down, I think 2 or 3 times last night, if I remember correctly. So Dan Campbell knew what was at stake last night and knew what a win over the defending champs would mean to his team, and he was going to pull out all the cards in order to do it. You talked about Jared Goff, and the night he had 253 yards and 1 touchdown for Jared Goff. I thought a really good game for him, but I've heard a lot of people talking about the running backs. David Montgomery led the way, 21 carries for 74 yards and a touchdown, and Jahmyr Gibbs, the rookie, only 7 carries for 42 yards. I've heard a lot of people talk, why this, why that. I saw on Twitter a look back at some of the best running backs and wide receivers in the last 10 or 15 years and how many carries, how many touches they had in their first game. And it was all around the same of what Jahmyr Gibbs had last night. But if you saw him run last night, I think this guy's going to be a really good player for the Lions. He showed a lot, I thought, even in the limited carries. I know some people were talking about he was moving a little too side to side, not just putting a foot down and getting on the hole. I'll agree with that. But also, you saw how he moved around defenders, how he bounced off defenders. I think the future is very, very bright for Jahmyr Gibbs, and I think those carries will just go up week by week.
Brian, in the rundown, did you throw in about 442 bingo card?
That's right, bingo card. I forgot to mention that.
College and pro.
NFL, that's right, yeah.
I missed on kind of one I had last night. I thought they would mention the Lions drought more, juxtaposed with the Chief Dynasty, but they didn't. My top story, only 2 top 25 matchups, and it's SEC, old, now, and future. Ole Miss at Tulane, past SEC member, and Texas at Alabama, a future SEC member. They're in Titletown to play the Mighty Tide. But the big story from college football this weekend is Coach Prime against Matt Rule. And just stop and think for a second about this story. 1 year ago right now, where were they both coaching? Matt Rule was coaching in the National Football League, the pinnacle of having made it in coaching. Not for everyone, but he had been in college jobs. He left for the NFL. He's back in college now. Coach Prime was at a FCS school this time last year. He was at Jackson State this time last year. What a story, and tomorrow should be a fun game. Also in prime time, you'll have Notre Dame at NC State. You'll have Oregon at Texas Tech, Utah at Baylor, SMU at Oklahoma. Some of these matchups this weekend look kind of like pre-December 28th good bowl matchups.
You're absolutely right.
Not top story of the day.
Well, I'm going to stick right there with my not top story of the day because week 2, a couple of games tonight. We have one game last night, Louisville versus Murray State, which was a complete blowout. But we'll really get our full slate tomorrow. And you mentioned some really, really fun games. I know a lot of people looking forward to Colorado, Nebraska, Ole Miss, Tulane, the Tigers out in Jonesboro. But I did see this. According to ESPN FPI, teams with the best chance to win their conference for the American, SMU leads the race right now, 36.1% chance to win the American, which I find interesting. A team that was picked 3rd in the preseason American, they've got a big game this weekend against Oklahoma tomorrow evening. But right behind them is Tulane at 13 out of all of the teams, 21.2% chance to win the American. Behind them, UTSA with a 16.3%, and then the Tigers with a 13.6% chance to win the American. So all those teams are right there. Obviously, these aren't conference games that these teams are playing tomorrow, but for SMU going up against Oklahoma, a team that we just saw win 73-0 against an FBS opponent. Tulane against Ole Miss, while these aren't conference games and have nothing to do with winning your conference, a win or a extremely competitive battle, I know we don't go for moral victories here, but that could do a lot for you once you get to conference play and start playing some of your fellow foes.
It might not be for everybody in the country, but for a lot of these teams, it's getting noticed.
Yeah.
It's getting a lot of attention, and we know how important doing it on the field means to sometimes to realignment. My not top story, Detroit wins, and they almost had to be taken seriously again until the whole country watches them again on Thanksgiving. They've got a little more national play than that, but Jared Goff, he was terrific and keeps taking care of the ball. Nobody, very few people would take Goff or Kirk Cousins over Kyler Murray or Dak Prescott like I just proposed to y'all. But exactly, why not? Because these guys are actually proven and not the darlings of the NFL media.
Yeah, that's a good point. We got a lot of darlings in the NFL media when it comes to quarterback play. So that's interesting. That'll do it for top and not top story of the day. Let's go ahead and get to our first break of the day, because when we come back, we'll get to some wagering with Alan Bell.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Want to play a private country club but only pay daily greens fees? Meadowbrook Country Club in West Memphis is your place. You can now play a beautiful, challenging course for only $59 plus tax, including cards. Meadowbrook Country Club features champion Bermuda greens and now is available to everyone. A membership is only $350 per month and includes tennis, pickleball, and swimming, plus a great restaurant and bar. Golf Pro Mark can even fix you up with custom-made tricks on clubs. Call 870-394-4186 today for your Tuesday through Sunday tee time at Meadowbrook Country Club in West Memphis.
Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company, we have it all. From handmade Amish leather belts, fine and casual clothing, boots, casual boots, work boots, fancy boots, and even safety-toed boots. Lots of cowboy hats to choose from, even Nebo lights, good-looking duck head dress shirts, duck head caps, shorts, and pants. Tons of jeans from Ariat, Wrangler, Devil Dog, and Kimes Ranch jeans. At Hewlett & Dunn, we have a great selection of Old South t-shirts and caps. Fine clothing from dress to casual to Sunday best. Enjoy choosing from UFO's orthopedic-approved shoes. Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company. Boots of every size, every color, every skin. Great quality Western, work, and safety toe boots. Hewlett & Dunn Boots and Clothing Company. 111 North Center Street, Collierville. Hewlett & Dunn. Hewlett & Dunn, serving you and your family since 1961.
5-Ash Roofing, it's what we do. Roofing and siding, gutters too. We're the pros you can trust to get it done right. Call on us. 5-Ash Roofing, the name to know. 5-Ash Roofing, the only way to go. 5-Ash Roofing, it's what we do. 5-Ash Roofing.
Is that not the corniest thing you've ever heard? Can you believe I paid good money for that silly jingle? Well, the experts say make it memorable, and I think I got my money's worth. 5-Ash Roof Services, proud partner of the Memphis Tigers and the official roofer of the Tigers home team. 5-Ash Roofing, 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
5-Ash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
I felt like we were really lucky to have a place like Genesis. There are several jewelry stores, I know, but I don't think any of them can match up to Genesis.
Meet Beth Gear, another thrilled Genesis Diamonds customer.
Yeah, the whole experience was wonderful. I felt really super comfortable, and I felt confident that we were getting the best deal for the money, too.
But for Beth, it was more than just getting a great price.
I'd say the value was extraordinary. Even if the price had been slightly more, I think we would have still chosen Genesis just because we felt that there really was a personal connect. We felt like they really wanted us to be happy.
Genesis Diamonds, where you and your budget are respected from the minute you walk in.
No matter what your budget is, Genesis will work with you. They never make you feel uncomfortable if you don't have the biggest budget. They were very respectful of our budget and need to stay within it.
Discover the Genesis difference for a ring you'll be proud to show off.
We'd always tell people, I got it at Genesis because I want them to have the same experience.
Genesis Diamonds, Memphis's direct diamond importer at Poplar and Perkins Extended.
Nothing says summer like an ice-cold Twisted Tea hard iced tea. Smooth, refreshing, real brewed tea with 5% alcohol. Look for Twisted Tea in the bright yellow cans. Keep it twisted!
Twisted Tea Brewing Company, Cincinnati, Ohio. Please drink responsibly.
Let's make some money. It's time for Wagering Talk with Alan Bell from CBS Sports. Alan is the executive producer of Early Edge, part of CBS Sports Digital, and on Twitter X at Alan G. Bell. Here's Alan with Bryant, Brett, and Jay Morgan.
Let's go ahead and make some money with Alan Bell. Alan, thanks so much for joining us. I'm excited for the weekend, week 1 of the NFL, week 2 for college football. But before we get to any of the games this weekend, what'd you think of the Detroit Lions last night getting a slim victory over Kansas City?
Man, I love it. First off, appreciate you guys having me back.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. And you know what? Like we've talked about it on the show before. The Detroit Lions, and specifically Dan Campbell, like they play for him.
They sure
and
do.
they played for him ever since he got there. I mean, you remember 2 years ago, these guys couldn't win a game. But you know what? They never quit, man. They kept coming. And look, I get it. You're professionals across the league. You don't quit. But they just seriously give him all the effort that they have. And, the end of last season and then seeing it last night, dude, it's awesome. Like, I love seeing a team come together, and that's a good football team, man.
It is a good team. I'm with you. I like seeing a team come together. And about that effort for him, last night they needed that. They needed it so much more than Kansas City because at some point after all that effort, you got to have some dividends. You got to get points on the board. You got to see it pay off.
Yeah, no, you definitely do, right? That's the scary thing. I mean, we were all watching that game, right? And Kansas City has the ball. It's 4th and 25, and they're going for it. Obviously don't get it. But we all thought the same thing, like, oh, well, you know what? Don't give them the ball back. You know what I mean? Like, because they don't leave much time at all. But, no, man, like, they handled their business, right? Created a turnover any way possible, scored on that. That last touchdown drive that they had, that was smash mouth running the football. Dan Campbell loved that.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like, I mean, it's what we talk about all the time. I mean, the Lions went out and didn't beat themselves. They went out and executed offensively, defensively, and on special teams, and it paid off.
Let's start in the NFL. Alan, first of all, are there any opening day trends coming out of preseason, opening day trends, home, unders, road favorites, road dogs, any opening day trends for Sunday afternoon and into Monday in the NFL?
Yeah, so in week 1, the last 4 years, underdogs 64% against the spread.
Wow.
Okay? Yeah. When you have divisional rival underdogs, 74% against the spread. Yeah. Because you see a lot of, look at the Cowboys and Giants, right? 3.5. You see so many of those, man. And, look, like, it's tough because we have players that, starters don't play preseason at all anymore. We saw it last night, in the first quarter. It took a little time, on both sides there. But, yeah, underdogs and divisional underdogs, do really well. And look across the league. We have 8 games that are divisional games, right? Like half the league is playing in divisional games, man. It's, pay attention to those underdogs for sure.
Well, you just mentioned really the biggest game I care about this weekend, and we do a segment later in the show where we make picks. I may or may not have let my fandom get in the way when it came to my pick for the Cowboys versus the Giants, and based on what you're saying, I fear that you're going to tell me to go the other way, but what do you like in the Cowboys versus Giants primetime Sunday night?
No, man, I'll tell you what, honestly, I like the Cowboys here. That's nothing against the Giants because, look, man, like, the reason that the Giants got to the playoffs last year was because when I say they stopped turning the ball over, I mean they completely stopped turning the ball over, like, at all. They just would not beat themselves, what we talked about with the Lions, right? Now, I'm not saying that they're going to, come out and have a bad game or anything like that. I just trust Dallas, man. Like, I think this Dallas Cowboys team can be really, really good. We saw that all training camp. They play with fire, man. Like, they bring it. And I think that Prescott, with them traded for Trey Lance, like, kind of everybody knows what time it is. And there's really not much time for messing around anymore, right? Ezekiel Elliott's gone. Like, that was the dude forever, right?
Yeah.
So, look, man, I'll roll with the Cowboys. I'll buck the trend that you just talked about. I'll roll with the Cowboys even though it's sitting 3.5. I kind of like it. Yeah.
That's the last game on Sunday. Let's go to one of those noon games on Sunday, and it's Joe Burrow back after the early preseason injury and with the new contract, but on the road at Cleveland and Deshaun Watson. If it was prove-it time for Dan Campbell last night, this year is prove-it time for Kevin Stefanski and the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland a 2-point underdog at home. Cincinnati -2 over Cleveland.
Yeah, you know what? I think that they kind of do prove it. I like the Browns, and it wouldn't surprise me if they just win this game outright. Look, they changed their defensive coordinator, right? They brought in pieces on the defense. This is a team, Deshaun Watson, whatever everybody wants to say off the field, he's a good quarterback on the field, and they've got good running backs too, and they're not afraid to run the football down your throat. Now, Joe Burrow, another big piece of why I like Cleveland here is I think he's going to be very rusty, right? Like, I think if you're looking at props, you can get Joe Burrow to throw one interception, I think, at like plus 105, right? Like, I think that's very, very viable. This is going to be an old school, AFC North type of a game. There'll be a lot of runs football, but yeah, man, I'm going with Cleveland here. Honestly, I think that Cincinnati's the better team overall once the season ends. So right now, I think I might go with Cleveland. I think they might be a little better.
Another game earlier in the day at 12 o'clock, Panthers and Falcons. This is obviously going to be a Bryce Young type of game. A lot of people are going to be looking to see what he can do in week one, but I'm seeing rumors that he might be without a couple receivers. I think DJ Chark is either listed as questionable or maybe already out for Sunday. Adam Thielen has also been dealing with an injury going up against the Falcons team. Right now, Falcons 3.5-point favorites at home on Sunday. What do you like on this one?
Yeah, I'll tell you what. All right, so first off, I like the Falcons before you mentioned any injury. I really like the Falcons after that. Look, I feel bad for Bryce Young. He's not going to have much to work with, not only this week but this season, and it's going to be tough for him. I'll say this: I've been around Arthur Smith here in Nashville. Not only his bloodline, which you guys clearly know and understand that family. This is a tireless worker. There's a reason why he went from literally the lowest rung in the NFL to a head coach, because he does not stop working. And I've got a feeling that he's going to come out and have his Falcons ready to go. I understand, obviously, quarterback situation there to be new, but I'm kind of excited about it. I'm going to roll the Falcons here. I've got a feeling Arthur Smith didn't get a lot of sleep this offseason. And, with that family, I think that's how they like it. They like to work and get things done.
Yeah, his dad only came up with a way to get a package from Memphis to Jakarta, Indonesia in a day. So,
right?
I mean, they're pretty hard. They're pretty hard workers. Alan, a game here in New Orleans where I am on Sunday. It's the Saints at home. A lot of new for the Saints. Second-year coach, first-year quarterback. They're a 3-point favorite in the Dome over the Titans. Again, back to kind of the prove it. It's prove it. It's do something for Ryan Tannehill this year, or he will not be opening day starter next year for the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, you're right. And look, I'll say this: the best bet of this game is to take the under. Okay, this game screams under. You've got a brand new offensive coordinator in Tennessee, even though he was there, last year, and he's been there. But they've got arguably the worst wide receiver corps in the NFL. They have one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL, and their starting tackle is suspended, due to the gambling policy there. There's just not much for this team to work with offensively. But they have a good defense. You know what? Look at the Saints. Brand new quarterback. Whole lot of stuff that they've got to work out. But they've got a pretty good defense, right? Like, I think this is going to be probably one of the uglier games that we see in the NFL. It's going to be a lot of running the football. It's going to be a lot of don't make a mistake instead of being aggressive, pushing it down the field. I could see this probably being very, very quickly over because the clock's just going to run. And with that, yeah, I'll take the under on that one.
Alan, most unders have a way of having to get ugly, but it's never ugly going to the pay window.
No, it's not. There's no ugly way to do that, my friend.
All right, tell us anything else from the NFL that you just love, you want to get out, and also before we leave today, after we do college, tell everybody about what y'all are featuring at Early Edge.
Yeah, definitely. So in the NFL, you know what? I kind of like the Cardinals +7 against Washington. I don't really trust the Commanders all that much. And you know what? I got a feeling Arizona with Josh Dobbs starting at quarterback. Not that he's a great QB, but he's a great locker room guy. And they got pieces. And I bet people are kind of in that locker room thinking, you know what? Let's just go out and play and have some fun. Nobody counts on us. And if you're giving me +7 with that, I'll ride with it. Also, the 49ers and the Steelers. First half, under 20.5. It might be 0-0. They got quarterback issues both sides in terms of how much they trust him. They're both going to run the football and punt and play defense. It literally just takes the first half on. I mean, you went to college, is that right?
Yeah. Let's get to some college games. I want to ask you about Nebraska and Colorado because we've been talking a lot about this. Me and Jay Morgan, off air too, have been kind of talking about how this line has moved. You see it in favor of Nebraska, and then it flips after that Colorado win in week 1 in Colorado's favor. Now you're seeing a lot of these sharps and try to jump on Nebraska now. Is that kind of the way you're looking at it? Or Jay Morgan made a good point of, this line, when it was set back in July when we knew nothing about this Colorado team. Maybe this Colorado team's just a good team. What do you think about this one on Saturday?
It is a good team. Look, Deion Sanders is a good coach.
Yeah.
He gets those kids to believe. And that's a big thing in college football, right? And his son, he's a heck of a player.
Yeah, he is.
I think the best way to play this is to take the under 59.5, and I'll tell you why.
Love it.
Yeah, I can see Colorado players being a little too high after that week 1 win. Nebraska players had their hearts ripped out on the last play of the game, but Matt Rule's not going to let them quit on themselves. And Nebraska's good enough defensively to muddy this thing up. It's a 10 a.m. kickoff in Boulder, Mountain Time. Yeah, this screams a very slow start. And look, Colorado could win 45-10, and we still sail on the under. I don't think that they do, but, any scenario screams under. I just don't see a shootout back-to-back. I could see a little regression to the mean on both sides.
NC State at home, a 7.5-point underdog to Notre Dame. Notre Dame with Sam Hartman, now 2-0. The whole country kind of watched him against Navy over in Dublin. They're a 7.5-point favorite over NC State. Nobody has a better book on Sam Hartman than NC State from the ACC days in Wake Forest, and we've practically turned him into Joe Montana. We don't even know if he's Angelo Bertelli or not, and we've turned him into Joe Montana. NC State getting all those points in Raleigh at Carter Finley Stadium.
Yeah, that's a nice reference right there. Look, I don't like the hook, obviously. You know what? I'll take it. I like Notre Dame. I think that Notre Dame, I think that this team is for real. They're good offensively. They can pass. They can run. They're very balanced. They can play defense. And nothing against NC State for sure. And you know what? I kind of actually like that Hartman's he's never beaten NC State. I kind of roll with that, right? Because he knows it. He knows it. And he's thinking, okay, yeah.
One more shot.
Keep telling me that. Yeah, keep telling me that, because now I'm with a different team, and I think we're a little bit better. Even though I hate the hook, and I would definitely try to get it to 7, I'll eat the hook. I'll take Notre Dame.
I like it. Well, let's get to maybe the biggest game, most talked about game of the weekend. Tomorrow night, down in Tuscaloosa, number 11 Texas at number 3 Alabama. Right now, it looks like Alabama 7-point favorite. That over/under hovering at about 54. What do you like in the primetime matchup tomorrow night?
Yeah, I like the over in this game. I think it's going to be a really fun and exciting game. Look, you got Texas, Quinn Ewers quarterback. He can play. Texas can run the football. They can pass. They can do some dynamic things running the football as well. And they can play some defense. But Alabama is going to be able to score as well. Their quarterback, if anybody hasn't seen him, this is the fastest guy on the team. I'm not even kidding. I don't know about his arm just yet. We'll see. But Alabama's going to score. And defensively, even though they're really good, they've got some injuries in the secondary there. I think that all adds up to a game that's just going to be a back and forth. And essentially, betting the over at 54, you're pretty much asking yourself, do I think each team can score 4 touchdowns in a game? And I think that they can, right? I don't know how the balance is going to be, first half, second half, whatever, but I think that they can. And I think that it's going to be a really fun game. So instead of trying to pick who's going to cover, I think it's much, much better, to pick both of them that just have a really good offensive game.
I like it.
Tell us about Early Edge and what people can find there this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So we're going to be breaking down everything. College football, the NFL, Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern, Sunday at 10 a.m. Eastern, at 12 a.m. Eastern, or 12 p.m. Eastern. and 7:30 p.m. Eastern, breaking down.
When are you going to sleep and eat this weekend?
Buddy, we ain't doing it.
You got to do one of the two. You got to carve out time for one of the two. You got to eat or sleep.
Yeah, you're right on that one. No, man, but I mean, we're excited, and we're going to break it down every single game. If you have any thoughts, any questions, anything, go to sportstime.com, click around, check it out. I assure you, you'll find what you're looking for.
I love it. I love it. Alan, thanks so much for joining us, and we'll do it again next week.
Hey, look forward to it, boys. Y'all have a wonderful weekend. Thank you again for that.
Thanks, Alan.
Thank you.
Alan Bell from CBS Sports and The Early Edge. Go check out The Early Edge. Like he said, they're going to be doing a ton this weekend. You can find that over on YouTube. But let's get to a break, and when we come back, we'll take a look at this Memphis versus Arkansas State matchup. We'll also take a look at some of the other matchups in the American Athletic Conference. That's next.
Be sure to follow us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows, stay up to date with station events, and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports56 WHBQ.
We interrupt this broadcast for special news and information concerning family leisure.
The world's biggest spa sale is back and bigger than ever at Family Leisure. How is that possible? Well, let me tell you. You start off with 50 different spa models to choose from 5 different manufacturers. Then you throw in up to 30% off in-stock spas and swim spas. But is that all? Oh, no. You get free upgrades on all in-stock spas, plus 24 months, same as cash. Wow! This is the kind of sale that you just can't have every day, but it's happening right now at Family Leisure, the world's biggest spa sale. Soak in the savings right now at Family Leisure, Witten Road and I-40. You know the place where family and fun come together.
Please remain calm and walk. Don't run to Family Leisure. And now back to your regular programming.
Angie's List is now Angie, and we've heard a lot of theories about why.
I thought it was an eco move. Fewer words, less paper.
No, it was so you could say it faster.
No, it's to be more iconic.
Must be a tech thing.
But those aren't quite right. It's because now you can compare upfront prices, book a service instantly, and even get your project handled from start to finish.
Sounds easy.
It is, and it makes us so much more than just a list. Get started at Angie.com. That's ANGI, or download the app today.
Step up your wings game at East Coast Wings & Grill. With 60 wing flavors and 7 heat indexes, do you have what it takes to turn the heat on your wings up to insanity? East Coast Wings & Grill is family friendly with a large variety menu to satisfy the whole bunch. Sign up today for their loyalty program and taste the rewards. For every $1 you spend, you collect a point. Earn 100 points and receive a $5 reward. Next to Lowe's off Highway 64 in Bartlett, come try America's best wings at East Coast Wings & Grill.
Nothing says summer like an ice-cold Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea. Smooth, refreshing, real brewed tea with 5% alcohol. Look for Twisted Tea in the bright yellow cans. Keep it twisted!
Twisted Tea Brewing Company, Cincinnati, Ohio. Please drink responsibly.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. We're sitting in the Family Leisure Studios. Just made some money with Alan Bell. Some great picks, a ton of picks today from Alan Bell. But let's jump into some of these games over the weekend, specifically in the American Athletic Conference. And let's start with the one that a lot of people here will be paying attention to and watching very closely tomorrow night. Memphis versus Arkansas State in Jonesboro, 6 o'clock tomorrow night on ESPN+. I'm really excited about this game. I mean, we've talked about it a lot this week of just being the Tigers. They go out, they do exactly what they're supposed to do against Bethune-Cookman. You make it look easy. I have a buddy that likes to refer to those games as halftime games because they should be over by halftime. And
great reference.
And that's how the Tiger, and that's how you want it. Now, I know a lot of people complain about the playing FCS teams and lower level of competition, but you want it to be a halftime game. You want that game to be over at halftime, and that's what the Tigers did. And then for Arkansas State, unfortunately, got blown out in their first game. So really not a good test, not a good litmus test for either of those teams. I think we'll see a hungry Arkansas State team tomorrow that wants to show everybody, hey, that game week 1, that is not who we are. That's not what we are going to be this season. So I think you're going to see a hungry Arkansas State team. And for the Tigers, I hope that complacency doesn't get in there. I hope they don't say, look, we just blew out our last opponent. This team got beat by 73.
Got to do it again.
Easily go in there and walk out with a victory. They've got to go in there, be focused. So I'm excited to see, especially early in the game, how both of these teams come out.
I think very critical for a great start for the Tigers to maybe knock Arkansas State out. For Arkansas State to keep looking in the rearview mirror instead out of the kind of the front glass, and for Memphis to get off to that good start and just defeat them out of the gate.
Yeah.
The longer they stay in the game, the more confidence they'll get. The crowd will build for them, and the home field could really have an advantage. 2 years ago, last play of the game, as the horn was sounding, the ball was in the air at 55-50.
Yep.
You don't need that much drama.
Yeah, and I mean, we talked about it yesterday, and you said that there's a lot of pressure on the Tigers in this game because of what happened with Arkansas State, because of that blowout.
What's new for Ryan Silverfield, though, to have pressure?
That's very true. I mean, every step of the way has been a lot of pressure.
The hardest tenure of a first-time FBS head coach that I can remember. I mean, every single, not curveball, just straight to the dome, looking for the ear hole, high heat, right at his head since he's been head coach. And, week 2 at Jonesboro now, pressure packed.
Yeah, so I mean, it's going to be interesting. I am very excited for offensively. It sounds like both Jay Ducker and Joe Skates are expected to play tomorrow. Now, we might get word closer to kickoff that one or both could be out for tomorrow's game. But I'm excited to see what this rushing attack looks like, because I was really intrigued with that Blake Watson, Sutton Smith duo that we saw a lot of game 1. Now with Jay Ducker in the fold, I mean, we know when he transferred in, the hype around him last year, had some really good games. I'm interested to see how they kind of work those 3 guys in tomorrow against Arkansas State if Jay Ducker is healthy. And then Joe Skates, you add a receiver to that receiver group that I thought had a really good game 1. I think there's still some question marks around there. It looked like Rock Taylor could be the go-to guy this year. And so when you put Joe Skates in there, how does that receiving group look? What's kind of the makeup of it? So I think this is a very intriguing game for the Tigers.
Not a mixed bag in the AAC tomorrow, but a grab bag. I think there's some good matchups, not just Ole Miss and Tulane, and not just because I'm at one of them, but also Marshall at East Carolina.
Yep.
East Carolina, they covered against Michigan and they were competitive. Tulsa all the way out to Washington, big underdog. You talked about SMU and Oklahoma. Here's your sneaky good AAC game tomorrow. Kind of like last weekend's kind of sneaky good college game with South Alabama against Tulane. Didn't really turn out. UAB at Georgia Southern.
Wow, that
week
is
2
a good
for
one.
Trent Dilfer.
That is a good one. And that's going to be tough. I'm looking right now. It looks like Georgia Southern, a 7-point favorite over UAB. So that could be a really good game. Another one that should be a great game tomorrow. Unfortunately, it's on ESPN Plus. But Texas State, who just went out and beat Baylor, going on the road to UTSA, who dropped their first game against Houston. So
and
that would be a fun one.
And guess what that game is to Texas State? Their Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah.
They want that game badly. Tomorrow in college football, FBS against FBS, 26 matchups of undefeated teams. We're going to have 26 teams bulldoze from the ranks of the undefeated tomorrow in FBS.
That's gonna be fun. I mean, a lot of these 1-0 teams will not be 1-0 anymore, and so that's intriguing. But I think that one's gonna be a really fun game between those 2 Texas schools.
A quick start for the Tigers. You think it's imperative, like I do, just to knock them out?
I think so, because I mean, and I was talking to Dave this morning, and he said that he had heard or seen somewhere that when Arkansas State got back from that game against Oklahoma, unprompted, nothing from the coaches, nothing from anybody, that they decided we're going as a team, we're going to go to the weight room, we're going to get a lift in, we're working out, we're not going to take a day off, we're focused because we do not want that same thing to happen last week. We know how fiery of a coach Butch Jones is. You could see his emotions after that game on Saturday, so you know that they are going to be ready for Saturday. They've been ready since that buzzer ended, the fourth quarter went down to zeros, they were ready to make it up next week against Memphis. So they're going to be ready to go. And like you said, if Memphis doesn't go out and really just start trying to put it on them and get an early lead, like you said, that Arkansas State offense is going to get some confidence. That defense is going to get confidence. Those fans are going to get in their favor. Oh yeah, the fans are going to get into it. And then you're like you just said 2 years ago, the last time they were in Jonesboro, when it was a shootout and Arkansas State had the ball with a chance to win that game. You're going to end up in that sort of game again if you don't go out there and get to a fast start. So you're absolutely right. I mean, a fast start is a necessity for the Tigers.
Could almost be a 442 football weekend bingo card checkoff will be this. Tomorrow night on NBC, on a Saturday night.
I'll be watching too.
Maryland from the Big Ten hosting Charlotte. They've got to get a reference in about hedge fund or Biff Poggi, don't they?
Oh, a return home for Biff Poggi up in Maryland. I mean, I'm excited about that one. I watched Mining for Greatness last night. I talked about that when we were leaving. I've got the Biff bug has gotten me. I'm all in on Biff Poggi.
Charlotte on NBC on a Saturday night.
Shout out Big Ten and their deal, because that's
their
what gets
rollout.
You. Yeah, and so it gets you something like that. But that's going to be huge for Charlotte, and I don't expect them to win. The line right now is 24.5. If they can be somewhat competitive in that game, that's huge for the American.
Tomorrow in the Big Ten, here's the networks. They got a game on Big Ten Network. Okay, they're on their network.
Yeah.
They got a game on ESPN2. They got a game on Peacock. They got a game on Fox. They've got a game on CBS. They have a game on NBC. They have a game on ABC.
Wow. I mean,
they're everywhere.
They've got it covered, and I mean, multiple games on Fox, multiple games on NBC. I mean, so they know what they're doing with this deal, and it was a huge deal. We talked about how big it was when it started, and this is going to be massive for the Big Ten, because tomorrow, the next week, all throughout the season, no matter what channel you change to, I mean, you just talked about all of them: ESPN, Fox, ABC, CBS. Whatever channel you
they're
choose
unavoidable.
Exactly.
And really smart people made it that way.
That's right.
And now you're seeing the full court press by ABC Disney at the game in Tuscaloosa tomorrow.
Yeah.
And next year it'll be a conference game. But I heard Al Duncan say earlier, you can't swing a towel in Tuscaloosa without hitting an ESPN, ABC, Disney personality. They've got the A team, the B team, and the C team there.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be huge tomorrow, and it should be a pretty fun game. But let's go ahead and wrap up our first hour on this Friday afternoon and get to a break. When we come back, we'll talk some more wagering with Bruce Marshall.
Hi, Jimmy Stovall here with Corky's Barbecue. Catering has been our specialty for almost 40 years. Corky's makes it easy for you to impress your guests at parties, family reunions, weddings, or just treating your hardworking employees to a great meal to say thank you. Let us do all the work and you take all the credit. We will come to your location, set up and serve your hungry guests an all-you-can-eat barbecue buffet starting at only $9.99 per person.
Corky's Barbecue.
Hi, this is Lauren Choate with Choate's Air Conditioning, Heating, and Plumbing. Choate's is offering some amazing specials for this month only. If you're considering upgrading your furnace before the cold weather comes, Choate's is offering $1,000 off a new Carrier furnace. If you don't need a new furnace, Choate's is now offering its early bird $60 furnace tune-up. This 22-point tune-up includes a free carbon monoxide test and heat exchanger inspection. And Choate's is your indoor air quality expert. For the best quality air for you and your family, it's recommended to have your air ducts cleaned every 8 years. This month only, Choate's will install a free UV light system when you get your air ducts cleaned, a $500 value. Call us at 347-8086 to take advantage of these amazing deals. So, turn to the experts with Choate's, and remember, let our family serve your family.
Chris Price here with Metro Builders. Is your roof leaking? Do you have mold stains on the ceiling of your home or business? Is your carrier denying your claim or offering a repair because they just don't have enough documentation? You need a contractor that performs work for insurance carriers each and every day, and Metro Builders is here to assist. This is why you call Metro Builders. At Metro Builders, we provide free estimates and consultation and love to assist homeowners with their claims. Metro Builders' process of arriving, inspecting, and diagnosing problems is second to none. Our team of Hague-certified technicians are standing by to assist you with providing estimates and photos to your carrier to document your loss. And the best part of all you owe is what your policy states. No large fees on top of the final scope. We use high-grade materials and are certified by companies like Atlas, CertainTeed, Owens Corning, and even Mulehide. We offer best-in-class warranties on all of our jobs, up to 50 years. When it comes to roofs and restoration, call Metro Builders to schedule your free inspection. Call me. 901-375-1717. That's 901-375-1717.
You or someone you know or care about has dealt with a difficult divorce. When facing divorce, you need the attorneys at Rice Law. Nick and Larry Rice lead the firm with 3 generations and 7 decades of experience. Located in Memphis, serving the entire state of Tennessee and North Mississippi. Rice Law is who you need to call. Simple or difficult divorce, they know how to handle it. Call Rice Law at 901-526-6701, or for more information, visit them at aboutdivorce.com. That's aboutdivorce.com.
Hey, this is Elliot Perry, former Memphis Tiger and NBA player. I love my city and want the best for our future. I want to introduce you to Paul Young, someone who has dedicated his life to building a better Memphis. Paul and I share a deep connection to this city. His commitment to improving the lives of Memphians resonate with me on a profound level. As the City Director of Housing and Community Development, Paul Young has worked tirelessly to ensure affordable housing and build thriving neighborhoods. Now, as President of the Downtown Memphis Commission, Paul Young is revitalizing our city, attracting jobs, and creating opportunities.
This is Paul Young. Memphis is my home, and I'm running to make it a place where everyone can thrive. Together, we'll make our community safe, invest in our neighborhoods, fund youth programs, and take care of our seniors. We'll continue the work I started in housing and community development, always putting Memphis families first. I'm asking for your vote on October 5th so we can build a Memphis that works for all of us. Paid for by friends of Paul Young, Cassandra Webster, Treasurer.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations.
Oh, yeah. Joining the guys every Friday is college football historian and Vegas legend Bruce Marshall from Vegas Insiders, CBS Sports, and his own website, bamsports.net. With over 30 years on Memphis radio, with handicapping and sports talk, here's Bruce Marshall with Bryant, Brett, and Jay Morgan.
Welcome back into Sports Time, and like they said, Bruce Marshall with us now from Vegas Insider, CBS Sports, and bamsports.net. Bruce, thanks so much for joining us. So week 2 of college football already here, and we had the Texas Fight Song bring you in. So I'll just get your ask for your quick thoughts on this matchup this weekend between Alabama and Texas. A ton of people are talking about it. Brett brought up earlier that ESPN is making this the headline. Everybody from ESPN is down in Tuscaloosa. What do you think about this matchup tomorrow night?
Yeah, Brian. By the way, thanks for that intro. Made me sound kind of important, which my wife will get a
You're very important.
So there you go. Yeah. I mean, Joe Namath's going to be there, by the way, too. He's going to be the guest prognosticator, and I predict he will take Alabama when they ask him to go around the table.
Bold prediction, Bruce. You've gone along. Bruce, over and under for the ESPN, ABC, Disney, hotel, Airbnb, just general putting everybody up for the weekend. I'm going to set it at 35,000. Would you go over or under?
That's before dinner, because those guys can eat and drink, so I think it's probably more than that. But there is a big deal. And this was I mean, there's some history here, and that Orange Bowl in '65 on New Year's Day, that was the most important game in you can make a case American sports history. That was the first college football primetime night game. I think it's the first primetime network TV sports game that we ever saw. And it was such a smashing game with Texas and Alabama, the great teams. Joe Namath coming off the bench because he was hurt. We weren't sure he was going to play. I remember the game. And that goal line stand Texas made in the fourth quarter. It was a great, great game, great teams, great coaches. And that really started a whole era of prime time. Now, what's going to happen tomorrow? You know what? I still need to be convinced about Sarkisian. I know they played Alabama really tough last year. 1-point win for Bama in Austin. I know Ewers went out in the first quarter and Hudson Card came in and looked really good. But I remain unconvinced about Sarkisian. He's only 14-12 straight up at Texas. There's still a lot of people there who think Tom Herman should not have been fired after the COVID season. I am among those. Let's see how Ewers does minus Bijan Robinson. Normally, I think, college teams can cope with the loss of a running back, but a great running back is a little bit different, and Robinson really was. So we'll see how Texas handles it. But mostly, I actually think Jalen Milroe might be more than okay for Alabama at quarterback. And I'll say this right now. I think he and Mike Wright now at Mississippi State are the two fastest guys in the SEC.
Yeah.
They're like running an anchor leg on the 400-meter relay. And I mean, he can turn any broken play into a touchdown. He's got demon speed, and his deep ball didn't look that bad last week. I mean, he hit that one long one, so that looked pretty good. I think he's going to be just fine. And I know Texas the defensive backs they kept Bryce in some check last year in Austin, but something tells me it's not going to be as easy here. And oh, by the way, I mean, Coach Saban has never lost to one of his former assistants in Tuscaloosa. He's lost a couple of them now because Kirby and Jimbo have beaten in the last couple of years. Now, Sarkisian had a good response to that this week because somebody mentioned that to him, and he said, well, what's Coach Saban's record against everybody? Well, it's pretty good. He beats almost everybody. But I think Bama gets him, and this was like we call it a solid Bama alert in BamSports.net. And we're going to take Bama 35-18.
Wow.
I'm going to lay the points, and I think Bama's going to roll.
Bruce, shocking. I swear we're going to do our picks in about an hour and a half, and I swear I got it Bama 35-13.
Wow.
There you go. All right. Well, let's hope great minds think alike.
So we're either going to be real right or real wrong together. You mentioned that famous game. Joe Namath, literally with tears in his eyes at the goal line stand. He didn't score. Very controversial that he was in the end zone or not. But he quickly had the tears dried with Sonny Werblin down on the field with a contract to sign with the Jets on the field. Sonny Werblin had a contract in front of him.
Yep, that was back in the days when they were still warring in the leagues, and it was the Cardinals had his draft rights in the NFL, but Werblin beat him to it. Namath looked so good in that game, and he wasn't expected to play because he had the knee problems already, but he relieved Steve Sloan, and he immediately pitched Alabama back into the game. I mean, it was, I remember it. I was young, but I remember watching that, and it was gripping, and two great teams. Texas lost one game that year by 1 point to Arkansas when Kenny Hatfield returned a punt for a touchdown. Texas could well have been the best team in the country. Had they had a playoff back in 1964, that might have been a playoff game. So it was that big and that great of a game.
And Bruce, also in that game, they said that Coach Bryant Steve Sloan got off to a rocky start. Coach Bryant went to Joe and said, Joe, what do you have? He said, all you need.
Yep, and he did. That was really a good show. By the way, the long touchdown pass, Texas had some big plays. Jim Hudson, former defensive back who played with Joe with the Jets, he was a safety, but he was also a quarterback at Texas. He threw that 79-yard TD that gave the Horns a 14-0 lead the second quarter.
Oh, well, Bruce, I'm curious of your thoughts on the Nebraska-Colorado game this weekend, because obviously a lot of talk about what Colorado did last week against TCU, and then since the end of that game, that line has moved from 7 points in favor of Nebraska all the way to, I think it's sitting 2.5 for Colorado. How do you think this game goes tomorrow?
Well, you remember when I was on last week, I said I'm just waiting to see, and I have no opinion on Colorado until I see him. That was pretty impressive. Now, I wonder if they can maintain that emotional edge throughout the entire season, but actually now we're just talking about doing it through tomorrow. I'll tell you what Deion did, and we talked about what he did in the portal. We know it's a brand new team, and he's obviously upgraded the talent there. He did some shrewd work on his staff, too. Charles Kelly, several years with Coach Saban at Alabama, coming in to coordinate the defense. Shrewd hire. Sean Lewis, coming over from Kent State, where he was the head coach, ran a very progressive offense there, and turned down a lot of jobs, coordinator jobs too, even a couple of head coaching spots. But he takes this job at Colorado, and he has upgraded that offense completely. It's a completely different team from last year. Now the other side, listen, the Matt Rule renaissance, that didn't happen last week. That was pretty ugly. I was very disappointed in Jeff Sims, Georgia Tech transfer. I thought that was the best portal ad maybe in the country. And darned if Sims just didn't lay an egg last week. He threw a couple of really bad picks, one in the end zone and one right at the end of the game. He just put it, he's throwing right into coverage. Nebraska also fumbled the ball, and they're trying to run out the clock, and they're up 7 midway in the fourth quarter. They didn't respond to Rule as well as Colorado did to Deion, and maybe, based upon last week, maybe this line's not high enough. I'm going to go with Colorado. I'm going to ride them here. Let's take Deion ahead at 35-28. That changes. By the way, the Pac-12 had a great opening week. If Colorado is as good as it looked last week, it changes the whole dynamic of the Pac-12. All of a sudden, SC's got to go there in a couple weeks to Boulder. All of a sudden, that looks like a tough game. I'll give Deion a look.
I like it. I think they were extremely impressive in that last game. Now, going kind of locally here for the Tigers, a win last week against FCS opponent Bethune-Cookman. Now they'll go on to the road, first road game of the season, to Jonesboro against Arkansas State, an Arkansas State team that got beat 73-0 in their opener against ranked Oklahoma. What do you think the Tigers need to do tomorrow, and how do you think that game plays out?
Just show up, and I think they will win because Arkansas State. Things just went bad.
They're going to show up.
Yeah, they'll show up, and I think. And listen, they made Oklahoma look like Barry Switzer's Oklahoma last week. Oklahoma ain't that good, but Butch Jones is not doing a good job at Arkansas State. In fact, he's doing a bad job there, really bad. And he's also, he's made their uniforms look god-awful ugly, too. You got a nice color combination there, black and red. Make them look better, all right? But that, and he's now, 5-20? 5-21? I think it's 5-20 straight up with Arkansas State. And he inherited a program that had done a lot of winning the previous decade. Blake Anderson bowl teams, and we know Parson and Malzahn and Hugh Freeze. He has really presided over a downturn, and that was horrible last week. Maybe this number is a little bit of an overreaction to that, but I think Memphis goes in there. I think Ryan Silverfield can get a win here. I like Hennigan going in there to put up points. I'm just not going to take Arkansas State under any circumstance right now. So 42-17 Memphis. I am anti-Arkansas State all the way until further notice.
42-17, Tigers move to 2-0 and will play Navy at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium next Thursday night. So we may have to get a off-the-air pick from you during the day on Thursday next week, Bruce, you'll be back with us next Friday. I'm in New Orleans, all set for Tulane hosting Ole Miss at Yeoman Stadium. Ole Miss played in the last game on campus at Tulane in 1974 and opened the Dome for college games in 1975. So full circle with Ole Miss back on campus against an old SEC member, Tulane, and Ole Miss a 7.5-point favorite over the Wave.
Well, Lane Kiffin, he got put 73 up there last week. I guess someone at Mercer made him mad, but that was. I don't want to get overly impressed. Same thing with Oregon last week, putting up all those points against Portland State. Let's see what happens. We saw last year. We saw Ole Miss really roll it up against the first half of the schedule, which was kind of easy. Then had the problems ensue. I am more impressed by what Tulane did last week, and even with some reloading that Coach Fritz had to do. They beat a good South Alabama team. I think a good South Alabama team, and not too much trouble. Michael Pratt almost flawless, 14 to 15 through the air. They balanced the offense. Oh, by the way, Willie Fritz now 13-2 against the spread since last season. That is pretty good. As a dog, he's for several years had a good record as an underdog. I think Ole Miss is all out just to win this game. I'm not sure they even do it, but I think probably so. 31-28 Ole Miss. I think they survive. I am not laying that many points with the Rebels. So let's take Tulane. Brett, you're going to be watching a pretty good one tomorrow, I think, at Yeoman.
I think so, too. And Willie Fritz, tell you kind of tough guy he is. He played college football at Pittsburgh State. He was in the secondary. Their defensive end, Sam Pittman. You know that was a tough team.
There you go. The Gorillas. Yeah, there you go.
Talking to Bruce Marshall from Vegas Insider, CBS Sports, and BAMSports.net. Bruce, one game that really intrigues me tomorrow night on Fox, Oregon, who put up 81 points in their first game against Portland State, going to Lubbock to take on Texas Tech, a Texas Tech team that had to go on the road to Wyoming last week, lost in overtime. Right now it looks like Oregon a 6-point favorite on the road in this one. What do you like?
By the way, I don't know why these teams go up to Wyoming to play. I mean, that is such a banana peel up there, and Craig Bohl's a darn good coach. Texas Tech they were up early, 17-0, and they missed a few field goals. They got back in the lead there in overtime, and then it was a fourth down pass. They got beat by. I mean, that's just don't play up there. I mean, don't risk that. However, I think that's helped the spread here a bit. It's moved it up a little bit. And, oh, by the way, we talked about Lane Kiffin running up a score. What about Dan Lanning last week? We mentioned 81 against Portland State. He's got something against the Big Sky because he put 70 on Eastern Washington last year. Yeah. I'm not impressed. This is going to be totally different. You'll get a kamikaze effort from Texas Tech. By the way, their quarterback, Tyler Chuff used to be at Oregon. He was there in the pandemic season when they actually won the Pac-12 and played in the Fiesta Bowl against Iowa State. So he's playing against his old affiliation there. I saw Oregon try to step it up last year and have some trouble, especially out on the road. They barely got there against Washington State in the game early in the season. They could not get there against Oregon State. They're not quite the same team away from Eugene as they are at home. And, Kenny Dillingham is not there coordinating this offense this year. I know they scored 81 last week, but that's put an asterisk by that. I think Texas Tech's got a shot here, and certainly plus the points. But I'm going to go ahead and recommend it. 34-31, Red Raiders. And they are going to be fired up beyond belief in Lubbock for this one. I'm still not sure how good Oregon is.
And if that happens, Jay Morgan Harder can make the lifetime donation to the Texas Tech Alumni Association with his beloved Red Raiders. And he lost his mind late last Saturday night.
Sure did.
That loss against Wyoming. Let's stay in the Pac-12, Bruce Marshall, with Arizona visiting Starkville. The Arizona Wildcats with this quarterback matchup may be the best quarterback matchup of the weekend. There's a good one with Ole Miss and Tulane, but Jaden DeLara and Will Rogers dueling it out in Starkville tomorrow.
Yeah, and last year it was early days for DeLara at Arizona, but when Mike Leach was still around, they went into Tucson and rolled up 39-17 last year. A nice win for Mississippi State. Test here for the Pac-12. We mentioned briefly at the start of a big opening weekend for the Pac-12, counting SC in week 0, 13-0 now for the Pac-12. Very impressive last week. Arizona won its game pretty handily at home. But now this is going to be a different thing, and I think some of these Pac-12s are going to have trouble out on the road this week. DeLara was a nice revelation last year as Jed Fish got Arizona going the second half of the season. However, I think Zach Arnett is going to be just fine here. And what he's also got to, and I asked him this in Nashville at SEC Media Day about Mike Wright, who was at Vanderbilt last year as a quarterback, and how he was going to use him. And Arnett sort of looked like the cat that swallowed the canary. He said, well, yeah, we're going to use him. He said, we got to figure out how. He said, there's a change of pace. He can be a slash. We can put him in the slot. We can line up at a receiver. He had 5 touches last week, gained 85 yards in 5 carries, 17 per carry. He's a perfect change of pace from Will Rogers, and he gives an extra dimension to this offense that I think is going to cause a lot of trouble for a lot of teams this year, including Vanderbilt, which should not have let him leave. Mistake turning it over to A.J. Swan. They've been better off with Wright, but he's going to be used very well by Arnett. I think Mississippi State gets him here. I'm kind of up on the Bulldogs, and I think Arnett was ready for this job, even though it came around in the wrong circumstances. But let's take a Mississippi State 38-24. So I'll lay the points with the Bulldogs in Starkville.
Bruce, I know.
Oh, Bruce, and so much for some of the text conspiracy theory we get on this show that I make you pick Ole Miss and make you pick against Mississippi State. You went completely oppo. We don't even tell you the games we're going to ask you about, much less I make you do anything.
Well, I know that's the spontaneity of it. So you get what you get what we got there. So there we go.
That's right.
Well, Bruce, I know we want to get to a couple of these NFL games on Sunday, but before we do that, I'm curious maybe your favorite game on the slate in college football tomorrow, and then maybe we love getting your kind of off the wall, maybe group of 5 pick of the week. What do you like in those two regards?
Well, for a favorite game, I'm actually going to give Baylor a shot. The same thing against Utah. The same thinking as with the Oregon-Texas Tech game. Utah, now Cam Rising's probably going to play at quarterback. Sawyer Roberts is going to play for Baylor at quarterback. Chapin is out. But the transfer from Mississippi State, he gave a good accounting of himself in fall camp. They thought he might have a chance to win the job. He has more upside than Chapin. He came in late last week when they lost to Texas State and trying to rally a couple turnovers. I think they'll be fine with him for a couple of weeks until Chapin comes back, but the number on this game has gone up. And like I said, Rising is probably back in the lineup for Utah tomorrow, but now they're on the road. They're not in Salt Lake City. Baylor off a loss. Dave Aranda could really use a win. I am not necessarily pro Baylor this year. They did not run the ball near as good last year, more than a yard per carry down from 2021. And the defense faltered some too. But Aranda's had a good record as a dog, and you'll get a sellout effort from the Bears tomorrow and an early kickoff in Waco. So I'm going to take Baylor in that one, plus about 8. The other one, I mentioned Texas State a second ago. G.J. Kinney. Now, Deion's taking up all the oxygen for new coaches after last week with his raucous beginning for Colorado in Fort Worth. However, look what G.J. Kinney did in his debut at Texas State, which had never beaten a Power 5 foe. Went into Waco, win that game outright. The offense crackling. He is a very progressive offensive mind. He's moved kind of quickly through the ranks. He was in the NFL for a while. I assisted with the Eagles last year at Incarnate Word, which is in San Antonio. After Eric Morris, the coach, left for Washington State and took his quarterback Cam Ward with him, well, Incarnate Word stayed good for Kinney last year, got all the way to the FCS semifinals. Very progressive coach. And, oh, by the way, the portal was made for a guy like T.J. Finley, who has bounced around in the SEC the last few years. Now he's at Texas State. This is where a guy like Finley could make a difference. All of a sudden, he's the guy, and at a different, clean slate, and running an offense that really suits him well. He threw for almost 300 yards, 3 TDs last week. He looks good. They're down at UTSA. I will give, and that's a short ride from San Marcos down to San Antonio. I'm going to give Texas State a shot. UTSA has only covered 4 of its last 11, and the Alamo Dome is chalk. A little bit overvalued, and from what I hear, they're very deflated around Roadrunner land there after losing again to Houston. They thought they had a chance to beat them this year, and they blew it again last week. And you're getting 2 touchdowns with Texas State, so that's what I'm doing.
I like it. Let's get to the NFL real quick and look at some of these games. And I'll just jump to the primetime game tomorrow night for no specific reason, but the Cowboys versus the Giants right now. Cowboys 3.5-point favorite. That total's sitting at about 45. What do you like in the primetime game tomorrow night? Or Sunday, I should say.
Yeah, Sunday night. I kind of like Dallas here, and I'm not a big Cowboy backer this year. I do think Dak is under some pressure. And Jerry usually gives these guys who are he thinks are his own discoveries a little bit more rope. He did it with Romo at quarterback with his coaches. He sure did it with Jason Garrett, who he thought was like he saw a reflection of himself in these guys. He's sort of that same way with Dak. But even Jerry has run out of patience, I think. This is the year Dak's going to make it happen. I'm not sure that he does. However, in the past, one thing he has been able to do is beat the Giants. He's got a great record against the Giants over the years. And let's see if the Giants, what they can do. It took Saquon a while. He had some contract stuff in the offseason. Daniel Jones did make progress last year, and it was Brian Daboll coming in. But this is a game, this is a series that Dallas has done well, and like I said, Dak has been able to beat the Giants. So I'm going to lay the points with Dallas. Not my favorite game on the card, but I'll do it Sunday night.
Real quick, Bruce, do you have another favorite game? You say that's not your favorite game. Do you have a favorite NFL game?
Yeah, I'm sorry looking against these rookie quarterbacks, so I think are being forced through the lineup way too soon. Maybe not as much Carolina with Bryce tomorrow on Sunday, but Houston and Indy with C.J. Stroud and Anthony Richardson, respectively. In particular, that Houston game, they're going up to Baltimore with Stroud. I don't think he's ready yet. He did not look all that great in August. D'Amico Ryan's first game. John Harbaugh has started the seasons very well with Baltimore. Lamar Jackson is going to be back. He's going to make his 2023 debut with some upgraded supporting cast. So I'm not sure OBJ is going to play. Watch Zay Flowers, a rookie from Boston College. I'll lay it with Baltimore at home, and I'll also lay points with Jacksonville on the road at Indy. I don't think Anthony Richardson should be in there. I don't know why they're forcing these young guys into the lineup, especially a guy who is as raw as Richardson. You've got Minshew there. He should have been the guy starting. Let Richardson sit for a while. This is going to blow up in their face. New coach, too, Shane Steichen. I'm going to take Jacksonville and Doug Peterson and Trevor Lawrence to go in there and win the game by more than 5 on Sunday.
Well, Bruce, before we let you go, tell us where we can get more of you and your picks.
Yeah, thanks, Brian. Check us out online at VegasInsider.com. So all my picks there. We got baseball, we got NFL, we got college football, the whole thing at VegasInsider.com. Also, some of my stuff also at CBS Sportsline, Sportsline.com. Got some picks up there. And like we mentioned, BAMSports.net, my new website there. We're still working some of the kinks out of it, but put your email in there. We'll make sure you get the copy for next week. The Pigskin Prophecy, that's at BAMSports.net.
Well, Bruce, thanks for joining us. Good luck this weekend. We'll talk to you again on Friday.
Okay, boys. Have fun. Thank you.
Thanks, Bruce.
You got it. Bruce Marshall with us every Friday. We'll be back next week with us and a really good list of games. And if you missed out, you can go to the website and you can listen to it all at sports56whbq.com. This weekend, you're going to be hungry and you're going to need to stock up for the weekend. You need to start at one of two great places. The Commissary at Houston, Levy, and Poplar, or the original in Germantown, perfect for big groups and game watching. Bama fans, you couldn't get tickets in Tuscaloosa, you can go to the Commissary tomorrow night and watch all the action right there at Houston, Levy, and Poplar. And for the weekend, for tailgating, going over to Jonesboro, for tailgating headed to Starkville. And if you hadn't left yet for New Orleans, make a stop at the Commissary before you head this way. Memphis-style barbecue that screams the slow-cooked Memphis style. If you're craving an easier way to order, text Commissary to 33733. Start with all those appetizers and build up to halftime and then into the second half, like the cheese plate or the tamales or the barbecue nachos, the smoked chicken wings, and then dig into the ribs or the shoulder, chopped or pulled on a plate, on a sandwich, all the sides, deviled eggs, slaw, beans, bread, and you can even order it by the pound or a 6-pack or an 8-pack or a 12-pack. All the desserts for the weekend, they've got those. Whole pies, whole cakes, best lemon icebox pie I've ever had. Terrific banana pudding and the strawberry cakes. 901-754-5540. Online at commissarybbq.com in Collierville and Germantown. The great party areas, orders to go, catering, tailgating. Tonight for high school football, make the first stop at the Commissary, either at Houston, Levy, and Poplar or the original in Germantown. 901-754-5540 or online at commissarybbq.com.
Let's go ahead and grab a break. When we come back, we'll talk about Ole Miss versus Tulane. We also got to get to our weekend bingo cards. That's next on Sports Time.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Wherever you are, stay tuned in to Real Sports Talk. Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Bell Tavern is waiting for you this Saturday. Well, Bell Tavern is waiting for you all the time, but this Saturday and the next bunch of Saturdays are different because these Saturdays we have college football. We say it all the time. Bell Tavern, Memphis' downtown neighborhood bar, is not a sports bar. It's a great bar that happens to have sports on the TVs. Lots of high-def TVs. You don't want to go watch your favorite college team in some chain restaurant. You want to go to Bell Tavern where you can enjoy the game, make some friends, and have some of the best cocktails in Memphis. That's what you want.
Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis in Olive Branch has an offer you can't refuse. They will pay you to do business with them if you want luxury. And I'm talking the Genesis G70 car. If you would love to have that kind of new technology, they will give you a $1,000 rebate when you finance with Genesis Motor Finance. In other words, they'll pay you $1,000 to do business with them, and you get brand new luxury. You can't beat it. That's Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis, right at the corner of Craft Road and Highway 78 in Olive Branch. Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis in Olive Branch, where customer retention is amazing. There's a reason. They take care of you with a team that's been together for a long time. Whether it's finance or whether it's service, you can't beat them. Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis.
Country music singer-songwriter Kylie Morgan absolutely loves her Genesis diamond ring.
I got so many compliments as soon as I got the ring and continue to get compliments on it because it looks really pretty on my finger.
Kylie's husband Jay heard folks in the music industry raving about Genesis, but he also did a lot of homework on his own.
When it came to finding the ring, he took it very seriously. He did all the research. I think he knows more about diamonds than any man in the entire world, and that's how he landed on Genesis. He just knew that they were the best.
Jay picked out a stunning, flawless, pear-shaped diamond in an elegant setting. Got the value price Genesis is known for. And now they both tell everyone they meet about the amazing Genesis experience.
When you walk into Genesis, you can just feel the happiness. You know that they're helping find something that symbolizes the love that you have for your partner. And you can feel that as soon as you walk through the door.
Always been you, and I've always been your wife.
Genesis Diamonds at Poplar and Perkins Extended.
My friends at Miramichi are always innovative. They've got a new thing going I think you're going to like. They have a staggered rate pertaining to what time of day it is. You can get a better price if you go in the later afternoon than you will in the morning or in the afternoon. From noon to 3, there is a $10 savings. There's about a $13 savings from 3 until close. You can't beat all of the innovations or the beauty at Miramichi. And folks are flocking. No longer can you get a membership. There's a waiting list, but that's how popular Miramichi has become. And why wouldn't it? You've got different levels of competition. You have 5 different tee boxes you can choose from ultra hard to ultra fun. The thing that's a constant is the beauty. The back 9 is like taking a walk through the woods with a meandering stream, and there's a waterfall you'll love. Everything about Miramichi is cool. Go check it out in Woodstock, 12 minutes north of downtown. It's Miramichi.
Chris Price here with Metro Builders. Is your roof leaking? Do you have mold stains on the ceiling of your home or business? Is your carrier denying your claim or offering a repair because they just don't have enough documentation? You need a contractor that performs work for insurance carriers each and every day, and Metro Builders is here to assist. This is why you call Metro Builders. At Metro Builders, we provide free estimates and consultation and love to assist homeowners with their claims. Metro Builders' process of arriving, inspecting, and diagnosing problems is second to none. Our team of Hague-certified technicians are standing by to assist you with providing estimates and photos to your carrier to document your loss. And the best part of all you owe is what your policy states. No large fees on top of the final scope. We use high-grade materials and are certified by companies like Atlas, CertainTeed, Owens Corning, and even Mulehide. We offer best-in-class warranties on all of our jobs, up to 50 years. When it comes to roofs and restoration, call Metro Builders to schedule your free inspection. Call me. 901-375-1717. That's 901-375-1717.
Listen each and every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. and join Ottawild Presbyterian Church for worship. Ottawild is a PCUSA church located in Midtown Memphis.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. We've talked a lot of college football, gotten some college football picks, some NFL picks for the weekend, but we need to talk about the SEC this weekend. We want to start off with the big game down in New Orleans tomorrow, between Ole Miss and Tulane. Brett, you're down there in New Orleans in preparation for the game tomorrow. So I'm just curious, in your mind, obviously covering the team, seeing very closely what Ole Miss did in week one and kind of knowing what this Tulane team is going to bring tomorrow, what are some keys for Ole Miss against the Green Wave tomorrow?
They have to get pressure on Michael Pratt. If he sits back there in a Chase Lounge all day, he'll pick almost any defense apart. And you've heard J.J. Pegues, Ole Miss defensive lineman, really good player, really great guy. Talk about the Ole Miss preparation this week has been preparing it like they're playing the champion of the Cotton Bowl and a team like they see a lot of weeks in the SEC. It started with Lane Kiffin last Saturday with me as soon as the game was over. The universal respect for Willie Fritz, the preparation for Tulane. And then Coach Kiffin added this week, and we're talking about going to 9 games someday in the SEC. He said he's treating this as a 9th SEC game. But it starts with heat on the quarterback. And you know I always start up front with you stop the run and then you put pressure on Michael Pratt. Then it could be a pretty advantageous day for Ole Miss. If they get any ground game going and you can't get to Pratt, I think he sits back there and picks most defenses apart.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I mean, we've seen that over the last couple of years that he can get very comfortable in that pocket, and we know how good of a quarterback, how good of a passer he is for Tulane, leading them on this run they've been on for the last couple of seasons. I will say, for Ole Miss, and obviously we've talked a lot, week one against an FCS opponent, you know, what have you seen? What can you take away from those games? But I did think Jackson Dart looked a lot more comfortable in the pocket on Saturday. He looked more comfortable in that offense. And so I'm excited to see how he looks against competition like Tulane before we get into SEC play. If he still looks confident, if it seemed to me, maybe just because it's an FCS opponent, Lane Kiffin felt more comfortable having him push the ball downfield. I want to see if that continues tomorrow against Tulane.
It won't be like 2 years ago in Oxford when it was 61-21 played in a monsoon. It won't be anything like that. The improvement from Tulane from that point on has really been dramatic. And it won't be like it was last year at Georgia Tech for Ole Miss in this game tomorrow. And it won't be like that next week against Georgia Tech. Back-to-back weeks for Ole Miss facing Michael Pratt and Haynes King. That's pretty good quarterbacks. Yeah. Everybody in the world wanted Haynes King coming out of Longview, Texas.
You know, you're absolutely right.
But I mean, first things first this week.
No, you're absolutely right. But I think it's a good test for this Ole Miss defense to be able to face two really good quarterbacks before getting into conference play and kind of working that stuff out, because right when you're done with Georgia Tech, not to look ahead because, you know, the focus is on tomorrow, but right after Georgia Tech, you're going to Tuscaloosa to play Alabama. So it's good. I mean, we talk about some of these non-conference schedules for some of these SEC teams, and for Ole Miss, especially that defense, they're going to see two really good quarterbacks the next 2 weeks.
Tulane, Georgia Tech, Alabama, LSU, Arkansas, all in a row before open date, and quite the opposite of last year for Ole Miss, kind of with the softer takeoff and very difficult down the finish. Now, when I talk about setting the tone for Tulane and stopping the run, if you can get Quinshawn Judkins and even keepers from Jackson Dart going early, then that will set up the passing game for Ole Miss for it potentially to be a shootout. And what scares me about any shootout is it always feels like the home team wins the wild one. If both are in the 40s, then that's advantage Tulane.
Absolutely. And, you know, I mean, we've talked yesterday, we talked earlier in today's show about the tickets for Ole Miss for this game tomorrow are pretty scarce. I mean, this is going to be mostly a Tulane home field advantage crowd, which it should be on the road at their stadium. I'm very excited to see it. But you're right. I mean, if you get into one of those shootouts where it's coming down the stretch of a game, there's going to be a lot of things working against you. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious.
And if you can, if Tulane just 2 games ago can win a game in the 40s over Caleb Williams and USC at a neutral, they have to feel good about playing on campus.
Absolutely. 100%. So no, it's going to be rocking there. And like you just said, I mean, this is going to be a huge for them after what they ended the season last year and the kind of
this is what makes it fun.
You're absolutely right. I'm curious for you because we talked a lot over the weekend and then on Tuesday before the show and during the show about Trey Harris, how good he looked in that first game against Mercer. Now, I'm not saying we're going to see 133 yards and 4 touchdowns on 6 catches again this week against Tulane or going forward. But for him, I mean, do you see him continuing having some consistency as one of the top receivers on this team?
I think he can, and a big game for him coming back to the state of Louisiana. He's from Lafayette, played at Louisiana Tech before transferring to Ole Miss, and everybody at Ole Miss kind of wants somebody to step up and be this year's dominant wide receiver. Right now, he's leader in the clubhouse, so he can continue that tomorrow.
Yeah. So that's going to be an extremely fun game tomorrow. Obviously, you'll be on pregame and postgame for that afternoon game. But when you look around the SEC this weekend, what's kind of the other game outside of that one tomorrow that you'll be at that you're really like, I've got to pay attention to this game?
I talked all week about the big 3. The SEC swung and missed last week in the big 3 games. Got smoked.
Yeah.
I mean, games over early in those 3. So let's see how Texas A&M at Miami, how that plays out. We talked with Bruce a lot about Arizona at Mississippi State, and he loves the Bullies in that one. And then the nightcap, the big one in Tuscaloosa that the whole country will be riveted to. But A&M at Miami, if there's ever a prove-it team, if Dan Campbell and the Lions are prove-it, what the heck's the Texas Aggies and Jimbo Fisher? They got to prove it, and beating New Mexico is not enough proof.
You're absolutely right. Another game that I'm not saying might not be an extremely close game down the stretch, but one that I'm very interested in watching is the game to end the night, 9:30 on ESPN, Auburn and Cal. We talked a lot about that Cal team because we were all in agreement that we thought North Texas was going to win that game with how bad Cal was last year. We just thought this North Texas team, we saw them last year here at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium. We thought that they would be good enough to hang with them. But for Auburn going on the road to Cal looked like they had some playmakers on that offense. I'm curious to see what this Auburn team can do. Obviously, that long trip right now, kind of surprised, but Auburn only a 6-point favorite on the road in that game.
And really an offense against defensive-minded coaches in Hugh Freeze and Justin Wilcox. So you know what the announcers are going to say, and I don't have it on my bingo card.
Man.
Something's got to give.
Something's got to give.
With offense against defense. I know Auburn's not walking out there. They're not taking the stagecoach out there. I did this trip with Ole Miss in 2017. Man, it whacks you out going out there.
Yeah.
And then we had an open date the week after. They've got Sanford next week because they'll get back. I don't know if they fly into Montgomery or to Auburn Opelika, but they'll get back home. Players will get to their rooms on Sunday morning at about 10 o'clock.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot. I've never gone out that way, especially that far, but from everything I've heard from people that go out there, that it doesn't sound like it should mess with you as bad as it does, but it really gets you.
And then when you see it, and I've showed it to you, the grid in the locker room of the earthquake fault that splits the field, you're out there thinking about a lot of things other than that big guy across from you.
There's a lot of factors to keep in your head.
Bingo card time. Last week, we had a lot of them checked off really early. I'll start with my bingo card, and I'll poke at me. I'll poke at almost any announced team doing anything from New Orleans, whether it's our crew or any other crew, TV, radio, anybody, between the different pronunciations of New Orleans, our Nolans, the references to the Big Easy, references to the Crescent City, references to the French Quarter. It's a radio, TV, media must to get all those in. And I affect the outcome of this. I'm going to make sure I check this one off. Just me getting them all in pregame tomorrow. Also, tomorrow night at Texas, you'll get a lot of references to Arch Manning. Will they show him standing over on the sideline with almost no prayer to go in? And then on Sunday night, I mean the fact of life in TV broadcasting. The perfunctory shot of in the skybox of Jerry Wayne Jones.
Oh yeah. Oh, you're definitely gonna get that. I think those are three really good ones. I'll go next with my bingo card, and you said a lot of ours were checked off very early last week. Most all of mine, if they're checked off, will be checked off very late tomorrow. And I'm kind of going off the wall for a couple of these, but that's okay. I'll go local ties here for the Tigers. Rock Taylor, I really liked what he did last year. Didn't get into the end zone last week. I think he does it this week. A Rock Taylor touchdown. Now, that might be partially me gambling on the NFL last night. A lot of player props. And so anytime touchdown score is a big one in those NFL games. So I'll pull out one here for the Tigers. I think Rock Taylor gets into the end zone tomorrow against Arkansas State. Last week we had, 2 field stormings with some big upsets over the weekend. I think we at least get one again this weekend. Let's keep that train rolling, and let's get a field storming on Saturday. And
in North Carolina State, if they upset Notre Dame.
Oh, absolutely. That would be a big one. The last one is a little off the wall, but why not? Week 0, after all the games were done, all the talk was about Caleb Williams. Yeah, that defense didn't look good, but look at Caleb Williams. He has what it takes to win the Heisman Trophy again. Last week, all the talk was around Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter. One of them is going to be the Heisman Trophy winner at the end of the season. I'm saying by the end of Saturday, we have a new name that we haven't heard this season yet, as he's going to be the Heisman Trophy winner. I don't know who it is. I don't know from what team they'll be from, but I think we're going to have a new name in that mix.
Very good. Jay Morgan.
I've got 3 today. My first one, college football Twitter laments the kids not getting to play. That was all over Twitter last week. The kids weren't getting to play because of all the time going too fast.
No-stop clocks.
So we got to let the kids play. They're not getting to play. So you got to let them play. Number 2, you're going to get to see a Duke football shirt at a Duke game. I don't think anyone has ever owned a Duke football shirt. Certainly they aren't brave enough to wear it. They're going to be brave enough to wear it this week for the first time in years.
In Shasheskyville?
And number 3, thermometer cam at Arizona State and Oklahoma State. Supposed to be 105 at kickoff. I'll give you a bonus one for that one. You're not going to see any facial hair in the stands. In fact, well, Mike Gundy don't have a mustache anymore. You know what? They're going to shave the mustache off the Oklahoma State cowpoke.
Whoa,
because that's how hot it's going to be. You don't want any facial hair in that game.
Jay Morgan, that's really good. Almost any hot weather game, the sideline guy showing the thermometer.
Always.
And it's almost the you can copy and paste this open to any Egg Bowl. When they come on the air, superimposed against the lights, the rain, on a cold, dreary night in Starkville or Oxford, the battle for the golden egg.
That's right.
That is the open every year at the Egg Bowl.
Well, and what I love in these college football games is they'll always find this old school thermometer that's sitting on the field. Yeah. That's not sitting out there all the time. Where'd you find that? And they'll have the camera on it.
Did they find it in the attic right by the sundial?
Exactly. And this would be great for television. Let's wheel it out and set it up somewhere. So that'll be fun. Follow along at home and have your own bingo card. Text us in what you think will happen this weekend. But let's get to a break, and when we come back, it'll be time for Big Number of the Day.
Add a little fun to your lunch break. Join Johnny Radio for Sports 56 Happy Hour from 11 to 1 every weekday on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Bartlett Small Engine has been serving quality power equipment since 1970. They have a full line of power equipment, parts, and services for most makes and models. Bartlett Small Engines has the best brands in the power tool industry, and they're all American made. Bartlett Small Engine is your can-do store. 6780 Summer Avenue. Call 901-386-9779.
Bartlett Small Engine has free pickup and delivery both at your home and curbside for lawnmowers, blowers, edgers, and any small engine. Call 901-386-9779.
Hi, this is Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roof Services. If you need a new roof for your home or business, we hope to hear from you and will work hard to earn your business. We are experts and certified in residential and commercial roofing, siding, and gutter installation. I have been serving the Memphis area for over 20 years, and now with 2 of my sons working with me, we plan to be here for years to come. So if you need a roof, please give us a call. On a personal note, what a great time it is to be a Memphis sports fan. With the Grizzlies and the Redbirds and 901 FC, not to mention Tigers football and basketball, It's going to be a fun year. Thanks to Coach Silverfield and Coach Hardaway and their staffs for their dedication to the student and athletes, the University of Memphis, the City of Memphis, and us fans. Five Ash Roof Services, a proud partner of the Memphis Tigers and the official roofer of the Tigers home team. Five Ash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Five Ash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
Get ready for the NFL season with incredible offers from FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Plus, all customers who bet $5 will get $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Now is the best time to join FanDuel. The app is easy to use. You can bet on everything from spreads to player props and more. So visit FanDuel.com/win and kick off the NFL season with an offer you won't want to miss. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
21 plus and present in Tennessee. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call TN Redline 1-800-889-9789. NFL Sunday Ticket offer ends 9/18/23. No refunds. Terms and embargoes apply. $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket, not YouTube TV. YouTube TV base plan required to watch YouTube TV. Redemption requires a Google account and current form of payment. Commercial use excluded. Subscription renews. Cancel anytime.
Want to play a private country club but only pay daily greens fees? Meadowbrook Country Club in West Memphis is your place. You can now play a beautiful, challenging course for only $59 plus tax, including cards. Meadowbrook Country Club features champion Bermuda greens and now is available to everyone. A membership is only $350 per month and includes tennis, pickleball, and swimming, plus a great restaurant and bar. Golf Pro More can even fix you up with custom-made tricks on clubs. Call 870-394-4186 today for your Tuesday through Sunday tee time at Meadowbrook Country Club in West Memphis.
I'm with John Burgos from the world-famous Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948.
Brett, I want to talk about our seasoning and sauce today. Our sauce is a great blend of sweet, mustard, and vinegar. It's good on so many items other than barbecue. It's good on pizza. People use it in lieu of ketchup. But our seasoning is the original dry rub, created by my father using a mixture of Greek and Cajun spices. People think our sauce and seasoning are good just during the grilling season. Nothing could be further from the truth. It's good year-round. Our seasoning is good on fish, chicken, deviled eggs, corn on the cob, French fries. People even put a dash in a Bloody Mary. To get a complete list of all of our recipes using our products, go to hogsfly.com, click recipes, and you'll see 50 wonderful items and dishes. And Brett, our sauce and seasoning is available at most grocery stores, and if they don't have it, please remind your grocer to stock it. And our slaw is also available at most Kroger stores.
Thank you, John. The Rendezvous, Mr. Charlie Burgos' Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948 and celebrating its 75th year.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Big Daddy.
Hello, Big Brand.
It's a guy, he wants to be big, then he gets big, he doesn't want to be big anymore, then he gets small, but the suit's too big.
Big Daddy.
The big boy.
You're a big guy. I think she's trying to pull a fast one on Big Daddy.
The big number of the day.
Well, I'm really excited about my big number today, so I'm going to go first because this blew my mind when I saw it earlier today because it's obviously a group of 5 team. We don't talk about this team a lot, but what they have done over the last year and some change has been extremely impressive, and that would be Troy. The University of Troy football team has won 12 straight games in a row, stemming back from last year. Last season, they lost their opener to Ole Miss. Then 2 weeks later, they lost on the road to App State. But after that, they strung off 11 straight wins, beat Coastal Carolina pretty handedly in the Sun Belt Championship game. Then in the Cure Bowl, beat UTSA 18-12. They opened up the season against Stephen F. Austin, an FCS opponent. And tomorrow, they will take on 15th ranked Kansas State. Now, obviously, they'll be an underdog in this game, but for a team that's won 12 straight games, there's going to be a lot of momentum, a lot of energy in that team. I was surprised to see 12 being my big number, that they've won 12 straight games in a row. So that could be an intriguing game tomorrow morning on FS1 between Troy and Kansas State.
And come coaching carousel weekend, Thanksgiving weekend, 1st of December, keep an eye on John Summerall. He was at Ole Miss with Matt Luke and John Summerall, one of my favorite humans I've ever known in sports. Really good man from Huntsville, played college football at Kentucky, now doing a great job at Troy. Jay Morgan, you got your big number?
Yeah, I do. Mine is about the Thursday night game last night. Lions winning last night. First team in the history of the National Football League to score 20 points and throw 0 interceptions in 10 straight games. Their offense has never been a question dating back to the beginning of last season. It's been excellent. Their defense had a little bit of question marks. They've reloaded a linebacker to be extremely versatile, guarding the pass and the run. This Lions team is really good. That was not a fluke last night, even though they had some injuries, and you're going to give Andy Reid a week to prepare for a game now. I guess Travis Kelce's back, so it doesn't matter. But he only had 1 day to game plan, so it's not doomsday for the Chiefs by any means, but the Lions absolutely have to be respected for how good they are.
I'm right there with you with a note. My number from last night. This note: Brian Branch on the pick six, the interception for the touchdown return. That continued a streak of Bama players in the NFL scoring a TD every regular season week of the NFL to 67 straight weeks in a row. Somebody from Bama has scored. That encompasses 339 touchdowns.
That is incredible, Brett.
Blew me away.
That is unbelievable. I mean, when you really think about it, it's not super surprising because of all of the production
Derrick Henry
that Alabama has put out, but that is incredible to just think a school has produced that much talent that is making such a statement in the NFL that we have a streak like that. That's incredible.
You were, the other day you were talking about Tigers in the NFL. Very proud of that number. We do. I do NFL Rebels in the NFL segment every post game. I love doing it. If Alabama had to dedicate the time to it and touch on everybody in the NFL, they'd need a 2-hour post game to talk about Crimson Tide in the NFL.
John Harden walked in, I guess yesterday or the day before, and I was on Twitter, and Memphis Football had posted a picture with every player that was in the NFL in their jersey. And so it was, 11 or 16 guys. I don't know if they put the practice squad guys on there.
And very proud of it.
Very, very proud of it. And John comes in, he goes, "What's that?" And I told him what it was. He looked at it, he goes, "Man, that's really cool. That's a cool graphic." And I go, "Yeah, I know." And he goes, "But man, think about if Alabama tried to do a graphic like that. I mean, they wouldn't be able to, so many players." And I said, "Yeah, no, you're absolutely right about that. There's just too much talent." And we talked about yesterday of when you look at some of these NFL teams now, a bulk of their defense, bulk of their offense are guys from Alabama, guys from Georgia. And that stat is a big reason why I think a lot of people like looking at that Alabama offense. It's very impressive to watch. Before we get to a break, we've made it to the weekend, Friday afternoon, and I know you're looking for a night out. So let me point you into the direction of 117 Prime. Located at 117 Union Avenue, opening 4 p.m. daily, 117 Prime offers perfect steaks cooked to your liking over hickory wood for the best flavor in town. And the meat, it's regionally sourced for the best taste, so you don't have to worry about it traveling across country like at some of these other steakhouses. Pair your steak with a wine from their award-winning wine menu or switch it up with their wine of the month. If you're not a fan of beef, no problem. 117 Prime also offers outstanding seafood like oyster, shrimp, and lobster. Also, get down there right now. You still have time to enjoy their happy hour from 4 to 6, Tuesday through Saturday. It's the best happy hour that downtown Memphis has to offer. To make reservations, head over to 117 Prime or give them a call, 901-433-9851. That's 901-433-9851 for 117 Prime. That'll do it for our second hour. Let's get to a break. When we come back, we'll talk some Arkansas Razorbacks with Ty Richardson from ESPN Arkansas.
We interrupt this broadcast for special news and information concerning family leisure.
The world's biggest spa sale is back and bigger than ever at Family Leisure. How is that possible? Well, let me tell you. You start off with 50 different spa models to choose from 5 different manufacturers. Then you throw in up to 30% off in-stock spas and swim spas. But is that all? Oh, no. You get free upgrades on all in-stock spas, plus 24 months, same as cash. Wow! This is the kind of sale that you just can't have every day, but it's happening right now at Family Leisure, the world's biggest spa sale. Soak in the savings right now at Family Leisure, Witten Road and I-40. You know the place where family and fun come together.
Please remain calm and walk. Don't run to Family Leisure. And now back to your regular programming.
Now your ideas don't have to wait. Now they have everything they need to come to life. Dell Technologies and Intel are creating technology that loves ideas, loves expanding your business, evolving your passions. We push what technology can do, so great ideas can happen right now. Find out how to bring your ideas to life at Dell.com. Welcome to Now.
Looking for a high-efficiency planting solution? The Case IH 2150 Early Riser Planter combines the industry's most accurate planter technologies with a rugged row unit for a fast and uniform emergence. The Case IH 2150 Early Riser operates at your speed and adapts to unique field conditions so that you can maximize your yield potential. Stop in or call Mid-South Ag Equipment at 662-890-3141 to learn more. That's Mid-South Ag, your Case IH Equipment headquarters.
Hi everyone, Greg Gaston for FanDuel. Add a little excitement to your sports watching experience by betting on all the action on FanDuel Sportsbook. There's a reason why FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. Their app is simple to use. They've got great odds on all different betting markets, unique fun bet types like same-game parlay, and exclusive always-on promotions such as enhanced odds boosts on the biggest events to let you get more action out of every game day. And if you win, they even get you your winnings safely in as little as 24 hours. If you've never tried FanDuel Sportsbook, what are you waiting for? Just go to FanDuel.com, use Gas Manager promo code to get in on the action. All in an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Just go to FanDuel.com, again, use Gas Manager promo code to join now or sign into your FanDuel Sportsbook account. Must be 21 or over, present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only. $10 deposit is required. Refund issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call Tennessee Redline at 1-800-889-9789.
Ask Sherwin-Williams during the Endless Summer Sale, September 1st through the 11th, and get 30% off paints and stains with prices starting at $31.14. That means 30% off our most popular color family, blue. Psychologists have found it to be soothing and relaxing, which makes it especially great for bedrooms and bathrooms. And of course, get 30% off all of our other colors. Shop the sale online or visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
You or someone you know or care about has dealt with a difficult divorce. When facing divorce, you need the attorneys at Rice Law. Nick and Larry Rice lead the firm with 3 generations and 7 decades of experience. Located in Memphis, serving the entire state of Tennessee and North Mississippi. Rice Law is who you need to call. Simple or difficult divorce, they know how to handle it. Call Rice Law at 901-526-6701, or for more information, visit them at aboutdivorce.com. That's aboutdivorce.com.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Jean Company in Collierville. Once again, here are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus. Time to talk Razorbacks on Sports Time. Joining the guys is Ty Richardson from ESPN Arkansas to talk all things Hogs and SEC. On Twitter X at Ty Sports Radio, here's Ty Richardson with Bryant, Brett, and Jay Morgan.
Come on, all you Razorback fans, let's stand up and call those Hogs!
You heard him. We're going to talk some Arkansas. We'll talk some Tigers later with the Tiger Fight song. We're going to talk some Razorbacks right now with Ty Richardson from ESPN Arkansas. And Ty, if I have it correct, are we talking to you out at a golf course? Are you hitting them long and straight today?
Yeah, my buddy's carrying me in this scramble thing, but I will say the only place I'd rather be is with Brett in New Orleans right now. Is there any better Friday than before a football game than golfing with the fellas? It doesn't matter how old you are. You can be your 20s, 30s, your 60s,
No kidding.
your 70s. Nothing beats it.
Ty, almost anything on a Friday before a football weekend is just perfect. I tell people, I would not work for free because I know they pay, but I would work for free just to enjoy the Friday night scene.
Oh, no question. I mean, I'll see some friends and people tonight that I haven't seen in 9 months. And my guess is the people, the Ole Miss people you see down in New Orleans, Fred, will be the exact same way. It's cool. And, I mean, the cool thing, it's not just we're in the South, right? But it's not just this other thing. I mean, this is really a nationwide thing. And, of course, we treat SEC and Memphis football greater than anything else. But it's a cool pastime that is unbelievable. I was at Kansas City last night for the first Chiefs game, and it's the same way in professional as well.
Nice. Yeah. Very, very, very nice. And how packed do you think Herman's will be tonight in Fayetteville?
It will be packed. Nick and Carrie will have that place filled to the brim. I was there a couple weeks ago, got me a delicious Philly chicken sandwich, and I'm already my mouth's already watering just thinking about it, Brett.
They'll have the big extra carryover overflow tent set up and everywhere enjoying it. You got your open, you got Fight Song Friday, you got everything in your intro, didn't you, Ty?
Yeah, I got to live up to it, man. You guys put a whole production for me together. So hopefully this full segment and all fall, I gotta back it up, man, with some good intel and some good takes here.
Well, we know you will, Ty. I want to ask you first. This is a question. I'm sorry, Brett. I'm stealing it from Brett. He was asking it to a lot of our guests earlier in the week about other teams. But when you look at a lot of these SEC teams, but specifically Arkansas over the weekend, starting the year against an FCS opponent, Western Carolina took care of business 56-13. How much did you really learn about the Arkansas team this year after that game? But was there any player specifically that kind of stood out to you that you could kind of see a little bit there, even though it was against an FCS opponent?
Well, I think anytime you have a true freshman starting or contributing right off the bat, that's a good sign for Luke Haas, the young freshman from Tulsa, Jalen Braxton, young freshman from Frisco, seeing those guys out there. There's a couple other guys that you like. Jade Johnson didn't have his best year last year, but looked good at safety, had a forced fumble and an interception. But like you said, Brian, it's an FCS team. They're playing a team in Kent State. They're favored by like 38 tomorrow, so I don't know how much you're going to learn there. Yeah. BYU next week will be a little more difficult, but it's really when they step foot into Baton Rouge, Louisiana on September the 23rd, you're going to find out who's a man and who's not.
Yeah, you sure will. One thing we did learn last weekend, Ty, is we know this. There's only 2 more games left for War Memorial. Next year against UAPB, and in 2 years if the Arkansas State game indeed is played. It's close to the end for Arkansas Razorbacks playing at War Memorial.
Yeah, I think so. I was talking to my dad about that. He went with me to his Father's Day gift last night for the Kansas City game, and he lives, no joke, a mile from War Memorial, but his dad, my grandfather, was passionate about not having games there moving forward, and that contract, like you said, through 2025. I'm going to be honest, Brett, I wouldn't be surprised if they still try to get a game there somehow. I mean, there's a lot of clout, as you know, in Little Rock, and a lot of money. That's, of course, where the capital is, and maybe it gets political. We'll just have to wait and see. But that's going to be a very, very telling thing the next couple of years, what happens with home games, not just in Donald W., but if they continue in War Memorial.
Here's the problem with only playing, say, ever 2 or 3 years. Can you maintain that stadium, the upkeep of it, for, frankly, a few high school football teams playing there, a smattering of other games, but the big show, the Razorbacks coming to town ever 2 or 3 years? I just don't know how the state can maintain it, and it's now completely under the auspices of the state. It's part of the State Park Commission.
Yeah, and it was, I mean, growing up, I loved going to the golf course, tailgating, and playing eventually when I got a little bit older. But now that's kind of, again, that's no longer, it's just a park now. And you mentioned the high schools. There's the Salt Bowl, big high school game between Bend and Bryant. But, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. The Liberty Bowl is unique, of course, because Memphis plays there. But, I mean, you're asking, like, UALR does not have a football team, we know. You're asking, again, state tax law. There's a lot of, like, intricate issues with that facility, and they always seem. And the thing is, and you know this, Brett, because you watch games, you've been to games. They always have mic issues or concession issues that
always
you just are seldom seen in Fayetteville.
You're right. Invariably, can't kind of get the clock synced up with the officials. And last weekend, and in some high-dollar areas, out of hot dogs, out of water at the end of the first quarter, and there was a lot of people mad. You're right that it's going to get very political, and it could get contentious, and that has not been the Razorbacks' modus operandi historically. The Razorbacks bring the state together, not divide it.
Yeah, and it's really because I think I can. What I've talked about on the air before is that I grew up in Little Rock. I had some of the best memories of my entire life there, including Matt Jones' miracle on Markham and what occurred. But at the same time, I think I have to put my priorities aside and realize that what's better for the state, at least in my opinion, is to play all the games in Fayetteville. Your last game in Jerry World next year. That contract's not going to get extended. They might do a neutral site game there every once in a while, but they're not going to play there every year. They lose too much money. I mean, you just invested what, Brett, 160, 180 million in the north end zone, and you're asking all these people that donate, in some cases, thousands and millions of dollars to have one less home game of the year, whether it's in Dallas or in Little Rock. So it's a tough ask. Hunter Yurchek has a difficult decision because he's got to play the game with politics and Little Rock boosters, Northwest Arkansas boosters. It is not a situation that I would want to find myself in.
Yeah. I'm talking to Ty Richardson from ESPN Arkansas. And Ty, you talk about last week against an FCS opponent and then tomorrow a 38-point favorite against Kent State. What are you looking to see? I know you said you're probably not going to learn much, but for Arkansas to come out again against a team that they are overpowered against, what are you looking for them to show tomorrow?
I think the running game, you'd like to see a little more of it. You had Western Carolina stack the box. Arkansas passed all over them, scored 3 straight touchdowns in the fourth quarter. People were complaining after the game they didn't run the ball. It's like, well, I mean, you're trying to run against the box. You're like 8 or 9. Not a lot of people can do that. And so maybe Kent State won't pack it as much, and you'll get to see more of A.J. Green, Dominion. Rocket Sanders is out tomorrow, for those that don't know. If you're betting one way or another, he's got some knee swelling issues that he's dealing with this week, maybe next week as well. It's going to be important to get him back before Death Valley when they step foot in there in about 2 weeks. So I just think that. And then defensive line-wise, get a little more pressure. I mean, it's hard because they forced 5 turnovers. They won 56-13. But, I mean, I would guess there were Ole Miss fans critical, Brett, of some of the things that happened during the Mercer game. That's how it goes. Like, fans are never satisfied. And, yeah, that's just how it goes, man.
Ty, when you look around the SEC and last week, you look at a lot of, like Arkansas, teams playing FCS opponents, but you look at some of those bigger matchups of SEC teams against other competition from the ACC, from the Pac-12, and they really didn't kind of step up to the plate and take care of business like you thought they would. I mean, I think a lot of people thought Florida would probably lose to Utah, but I think there were a lot of people that thought South Carolina could beat North Carolina, and the same with LSU against Florida State. What do you think about this conference as a whole from top to bottom? I know when me and Brett were doing picks, there were a lot of 6-6, 7-5s in this conference. I know that's kind of how it goes in the SEC with how strong it is once you get to conference play. But what do you think about this conference this year?
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head, Brian. The fact that the SEC did not have a good week last week. I was high on LSU heading into the season. I'm still high on them. I think week 1, missing Mason Smith really hurt them.
Sure.
I think Travis and company and really their running game carved the Tigers up in the second half. They have secondary issues. We'll see if they solve those or not. But for the other teams, I think Billy Napier's probably done at Florida either after the season or at some point during the season. And then, like, you just look at some of the games this week, the SEC needs to have a better week. Like, Bama needs to beat Texas. You need to have Miami lose to A&M. A&M needs to get the job done down there. And there's kind of some under-the-radar games, like Auburn going to Cal.
Yeah.
And there's one, Arizona, I'm forgetting, Mississippi State, that's it.
State, yeah.
So, I mean, the SEC needs to bounce back this week. They have a reputation to uphold, and if you're losing first 2 weeks of non-conference play, it's not exactly going to help your your chances at the end of the season if you're trying to get 2 teams in the college football playoff.
Yeah.
Ty Richardson with us from ESPN Arkansas. He's with us every Friday and will be until Arkansas or the SEC doesn't have anybody standing in March Madness. And speaking of basketball, conference schedule out this week. Dates, not times, but the dates are out. And Ty, I bet you're like me. I bet your listeners and your interactions like me. When I see the Razorback schedule, the first thing I go to, John Calipari in Kentucky. This year, not once but twice, January 27th at Bud Walton Arena, and then at Rupp Arena on March 2nd, 2 times against Cal and the Cats.
Yep. No, you called it, Brett. I mean, that's what Arkansas fans circle every year. And not only you get that, but you get Duke this season, which they've never had step foot in Bud Walton Arena. So it's going to be an insane home schedule. And they get Purdue for an exhibition game. So Eric Musselman has really teed this schedule up. He's got a veteran squad, a lot of roster minutes that have played, not just at Arkansas, but other places. So people are ecstatic. But Arkansas and Kentucky is, a staple. Whether it's Pitino and Richardson, now it's Cal and Musselman, it's the game that a lot of people have circled on their schedule. And I think that, again, that initial matchup will be a fun one, as will the final one before Arkansas plays LSU at home. Then they close at Alabama, which the Grant Nelson, Trevin Brazil duo should be an ecstatic type of matchup.
It should be. You mentioned that the Pitino, Nolan Richardson symmetry, synchronicity. They really did love each other. Now they tried to tear each other's heads off competing, but one of the great nights ever at Barnhill, Rick Pitino came in and came out for right before the tip and had on a real gaudy pair of cowboy boots and kind of raised his trousers up and showed them off to Coach Richardson, and they both did love each other, and they both were showmen.
Yeah, you remember when the Jim Robkin and the band, Brett, used to play the Godfather music when Pitino would walk in with the guys? I mean, it's stuff like that that just makes that rivalry great. And it was greater back then than it is now, but don't underestimate some of the games that we've had recently between Kentucky and Arkansas. And I'll say this, I want to see Penny and Must. I mean, I think there's a lot of Memphis fans that remember the 90s game where Arkansas got knocked out by Memphis, and there's been other matchups as well. That's something that we need to get on the books. And I'm surprised, as much as those guys like to compete. I don't know which one's holding up that possible neutral side or home and home matchup, but we got to get Memphis and Arkansas on the books, fellas. That needs to happen.
I'll take it anywhere, but I prefer it at FedEx Forum and Bud Walton Arena.
Yeah, no question. I think, and we still see neutral site matchups in college basketball, like the championship classics and the tournaments and whatnot. But if you're going to schedule an opponent straight up, and Arkansas plays Oklahoma and Tulsa in the final season, which people like going to, the home arena atmosphere that you get. I haven't been to FedEx Forum since 2014 when the NCAA tournament was there, which was a great atmosphere. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of Arkansas fans would travel to Memphis, and frankly, Memphis is not too far from Fayetteville. I think you see the same.
Well, since we're talking about SEC basketball with that conference schedule released earlier this week for Arkansas, what do you expect from that team this year? I mean, we know last year kind of had a lot of these guys that had a lot of hype from the high school recruiting, but then this year it seems like more transfer guys coming in for Arkansas this year. What do you think about the makeup of this roster?
Brian, they got a lot of veterans on this team. Now, again, a good chunk of them haven't necessarily spent all their time in Fayetteville, but when you slice up this roster, when you have Devo Davis returning for his final season at Arkansas, where he has been an instrumental part of this program, and then you couple that with some transfers like Tremont Mark, who's on one of the best teams in college basketball in Houston, Caleb Battle, who comes over from Tulsa. But they've added shooting, they've got experience, and they've got a great schedule. That, to me, could parlay into something special. Listen, here's the deal. Memphis, Tennessee, Dallas, Texas, Phoenix, Arizona. That should be Arkansas basketball's destinations in the postseason. First and second round, Sweet 16 Elite Eight, Final Four national championship. Brett, you know all about Reunion Arena and how much Arkansas fans used to pack that place out during the Southwest Conference tournament.
It was just great. It was Barnhill South, And now the new building hadn't been very favorable to Arkansas. I was down there for an NCAA tournament loss, I think, to Bucknell. Yeah, but in 2006, the Tigers were there as well. But Reunion Arena was Arkansas dominated. For your listeners, for your feedback you've gotten this week, I know probably a tough decision to make. So who are they pulling for? Texas or Alabama?
Huh.
You know, we feel, and that's a great question. We fielded that, and I'm going for Texas because I think Quinn Ewers and company are going to be too much offensively to stop, and I don't know if Jalen Milroe and the Crimson Tide can stay with them. Now, that might tick off some of your listeners. That's just kind of what I'm thinking.
I can't pull for Texas in anything, Ty. Nothing, never, ever.
And listen, I get that, and you're of a generation that will never. But I mentioned this to Chuck and Tommy the other day, Brett. I'm 4-2 against Texas. 2003, you got 2014 and 2021, and they got two other wins. They shouldn't have won in 04. I mean, I haven't seen this huge little brother, big brother thing that a lot of people feel. I mean, I think Arkansas is better than Texas right now. Then the reality of the situation, when you look at the century,
they scarred my childhood, December 6, 1969. Ty.
Yeah, that's a scarring moment for a lot of Arkansas fans. But I don't feel that same hatred towards Texas. Or that's not true. I hate Texas, but the feeling that some fans feel just because, and there's an arrogance associated. The deal is with me is Alabama fans have something to back up their arrogance. It's Nick Saban, the national championship.
Yeah,
Texas
they got a trophy case.
Yeah, Texas hadn't won a Big 12 championship since 2009, much less a national championship. So they, again, but it's heavy Crimson Tide. Honestly, the answer has been, I hope they both lose or I hope they both tie, but no one, and I mean no one, in Arkansas is cheering for Texas this week outside of me.
That's great. Well, Ty, with week one of the NFL starting this week, we know a lot of former Razorbacks in the NFL. But I'm curious, here locally, a lot of Tennessee Titan fans and Traylon Burks, the first-round pick last year, kind of an up-and-down season with injuries and a lot of other stuff going on last year. But what do you expect from a guy like Traylon Burks? Obviously, you watched him very closely at Arkansas. What do you think he can do in an offense like Tennessee Titans?
Well, they added DeAndre Hopkins, and so that should take some pressure off him. Here's the deal with Burks, and this will be his entire NFL career. If he stays healthy, he's going to be a good receiver. I'm not going to necessarily go great or say Hall of Famer, but he'll be a guy that you can count on to make big plays. The deal with him is health is going to be an issue, I think, moving forward. We've seen it in college. We're going to see it in the National Football League. I hate it for the dude because he loves hunting, fishing, and football.
Right.
And there's no better categories as an Arkansan to love those three things. But that's kind of how I look at him and the Tennessee Titans tenure. I hope they re-sign him. If he goes somewhere else, so be it. But I think he's going to have a good year, too. It's just a matter of, hey, what's it going to look like at this point?
Who are y'all playing golf right now, Ty?
Man, we are up in Cave Springs, Arkansas, Brett. I got a buddy that just joined Shadow Valley and Rogers, and they're doing their member guests right now. But I know, listen, it doesn't compare where you get to tote the links every once in a while. I got to make it at some point. I've got to go there.
You're in a good spot. Just tell them to write down threes for any hole you missed while doing Memphis radio. Okay?
Yes.
Please. Well, here's the honest deal, fellas. So I'm terrible. My handicap is well over 32. I don't think I've ever broken 100. And I'm playing with a guy that's probably a handicap of 1 or 2, and two other guys that are pretty decent. So he's carrying the load. I'm just carrying his water.
Well, that's smart. It seems like you got the good.
There's a role for everybody, Ty.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Ty, you mentioned earlier about the SEC. We talked about the week they had last week, and you said they need a better week, and you pointed out a handful of games. Do you think the SEC and kind of these bigger matchups have a better week this week in week 2?
Man, I hope so, with the exception of what happens in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah.
I mean, if you call yourself the best conference in the country, you shouldn't be having downside and down and losses in weeks 1 and 2. I mean, you should be dominating teams, and they did in week 1. The best matchup we had in week 1 was the Florida State Seminoles against LSU from the perspective of these were two teams that are thought of to be potential college football playoff contenders. One was a pretender in the second half, that being LSU. The other team showed up and really dominated. And props to Mike Norvell and company, former Memphis Tigers coach, because his team brought it, and the Tigers stumbled. Not only stumbled, they honestly did not look like themselves in the second half.
Yeah, no, they definitely did. But I mean, and you said you're high on LSU. I mean, this loss to Florida State doesn't change anything for them in terms of a long run and maybe even a extremely good bowl game at the end of the season, right?
Yeah, no question. I mean, just look to last year when they made it to the SEC championship despite losing to Florida State and A&M later in the season. So I still think LSU's got a lot to play for. I hope they approached it in every game that way, except for in 2.5 weeks when Arkansas steps foot in there, and I hope they just don't show up that day. But I tend to think,
and they got crushed last year by Tennessee as well.
Yes. Oh, man, that's another one I forgot. Hendon Hooker and company went in there. I mean, I'll tell you what, I haven't seen a wide receiver quarterback combo in quite some time that gelled as good as Jalen Hyatt and did. I mean, they were on the same page every single down, every single possession it seemed like. And that 5-touchdown performance against Alabama will go down as one of the greatest college football performances I think I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah, it really will. Well, Ty, enjoy the rest of your afternoon out at the golf course and enjoy this weekend. We'll do it again next week.
All right, boys. Appreciate y'all having me as always, even from this course.
Thanks, Ty.
Thank you, Ty. Enjoy your weekend.
Yeah, Ty Richardson from ESPN Arkansas joining us every Friday to talk the Razorbacks. They'll have a home game tomorrow and a lot of other here regionally home games. So if you're going to one of these games, maybe not this weekend with some of those teams playing on the road, maybe you're going next week, you've got to stop by Hewlett and Dunn before you go to any of these games to get your gear for that game. Hewlett Dunn Boot and Jean on the historic square in Collierville since 1961. Charles Hall started working there in his teens, and now with his wife Laura, they own the place known for all the boots, but also clothing, accessories, and caps for any team, any season. And when I say they are known for all the boots, they really are. They have the Western wear, the work boots, safety toe boots, or soft toe and rubber boots. Boots for every single occasion at Hewlett and Dunn. But they also have you covered with everything else from head to toe. They've got you covered with brands like Ariat, Dan Post, Anderson Bean. Whether for men or women, they've got you covered. Men and women's clothing, jean, pants, skirts, shirts, shorts, outerwear, and the best duck head collection you'll find. Charles and Laura Hall invite you to 111 North Center Street or to HewlettDunn.com on the square in Collierville. They have got the hats, sunglasses, boot care products, and every area team snapbacks and cool hats that you can think of. For the Tigers, Mississippi State, UT, Ole Miss, the Razorbacks, I'm telling you, they've got it all. And if you're going out of town on a trip, maybe to one of these games this weekend or next, their travel bag selection is top notch. So get online, go to HewlettDunn.com or go and give them a visit and tell them hello at 111 Center Street on the square in Collierville at Hewlett and Dunn. Let's get to a break, and when we come back, it's time for the First National Bank and Trust Friday football forecast.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11 here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
7.
12. What are we playing?
Central Barbecue has 7 different kinds of sandwiches.
Okay, does that seem like a lot?
Are you kidding? 7 may be the most perfect amount of sandwiches. See, they got the pulled pork. You can get chopped on request. Then trim sliced beef brisket sandwich. There's 2 right there.
I'm not sure exactly.
Look, you've also got the pulled chicken, the smoked turkey, the marinated portobello mushroom sandwich.
That seems like plenty.
You would think, but then you also got the smoked sausage and the barbecue bologna sandwich.
You're right. 7 may be the perfect amount of sandwiches.
The people at Central Barbecue are genius.
Hi, this is Lauren Choate with Choate's Air Conditioning, Heating, and Plumbing. Choate's is offering some amazing specials for this month only. If you're considering upgrading your furnace before the cold weather comes, Choate's is offering $1,000 off a new Carrier furnace. If you don't need a new furnace, Choate's is now offering its early bird $60 furnace tune-up. This 22-point tune-up includes a free carbon monoxide test and heat exchanger inspection. And Choate's is your indoor air quality expert. For the best quality air air for you and your family, it's recommended to have your air ducts cleaned every 8 years. This month only, Choates will install a free UV light system when you get your air ducts cleaned, a $500 value. Call us at 347-8086 to take advantage of these amazing deals. So, turn to the experts with Choates, and remember, let our family serve your family.
At Grainger, we're for the ones who pay attention to every little detail, the ones who fuss, tinker, and sweat the small stuff. Because you know the tiniest thing can make the biggest difference when it comes to keeping business moving. We get it. We're the same way, offering access to product experts to help you quickly and easily find what you need. So whatever your industry, you know you're always getting professional-grade products. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Want to play a private country club but only pay daily greens fees? Meadowbrook Country Club in West Memphis is your place. You can now play a beautiful, challenging course for only $59 plus tax, including cards. Meadowbrook Country Club features champion Bermuda greens and now is available to everyone. A membership is only $350 per month and includes tennis, pickleball, and swimming, plus a great restaurant and bar. Golf Pro Mark can even fix you up with custom-made tricks on clubs. Call 870-394-4186 today for your Tuesday through Sunday tee time at Meadowbrook Country Club in West Memphis.
If you've tried to buy a Rolex watch lately, you know how difficult it is. New models are in rare supply. Some jewelers put you on wait lists. Others make you buy their other jewelry at inflated prices just to be considered for a Rolex purchase. Well, that's all changed now that Genesis Diamonds has arrived. Genesis Diamonds is the premier dealer of luxury pre-owned Rolex timepieces. People who come in are shocked to see Daytonas, Hulks, Submariners, Pepsis, Datejusts, all the hard-to-find Rolex watches ready to wear today. At Genesis, we've used our worldwide connections to find only the first luxury pre-owned Rolexes, immaculate, pristine watches, fairly priced with no strings attached, and with flexible financing options. So enough with the wait list and the retail jeweler games. Get the Rolex of your dreams today at Genesis Diamonds. And if you already have a Rolex and are interested in trading up, we also have Rolex buyers on site every day. Just another example of how we're forever changing the jewelry landscape here. Genesis Diamonds, official jeweler of the Tennessee Titans at Poplar and Perkins Extended.
Friday football forecast from First National Bank and Trust, a division of First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas. Real estate isn't something you purchase or develop or desire. It's something you appreciate, respect, and know. With real estate, there's no gray area. You either know it or you don't. First National Bank and Trust, a proud division of First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas. They've known it since their beginning in 1886. Clients depend on First National Bank because they know real estate. Brooks Winchester, Bill Samish, and many more can assist you in your acquisition of that hunting land, farmland, a construction project. Let First National Bank and Trust make your dreams a reality. 775 Ridge Lake Boulevard, Suite 140 in Memphis, 901-498-5763, or the office in Collierville, or online at fnbtmemphis.com. For commercial real estate, residential construction, or recreational and agriculture financing, let First National Bank and Trust help you. They're a division of First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas, where I have had an account, been a friend, and been a customer my entire life.
Let's forecast these games, guys. We've got a NFL this week. We didn't last week. Bryant Dacus 8-0 last week.
A lot of pressure.
I was 4-4. Jay Morgan 3-5. So Jay Morgan, I need to improve. Bryant, you need to maintain. Look forward to making all these picks, and we love First National Bank and Trust, where they are the height of consistency. Stable, secure, solid, and reliable through all these years, and with us on Friday now for all these years, and we appreciate that so much. Tulane and Ole Miss, first game we'll pick. Ole Miss, a 7.5-point favorite. Willie Fritz, 44-45 in his 8th year at Tulane. Ole Miss, winner of 12 straight in this series and won by 40 2 years ago in Oxford. I want you to listen to us on the Ole Miss Network tomorrow right here, but on TV it'll be Dave Pasch, Dusty Dvorak, and Tom Luganville as the announced crew for ESPNU. Ole Miss, 7.5-point favorite on the road. I say Ole Miss wins and wins comfortably, 45-21 Rebels. Bryant.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a good game, but I'm going to have to side with you on this one because I still have questions about Tulane. You're losing your running back. You're losing some guys defensively, and yeah, it was good enough last week to beat South Alabama, but this is a different test against Ole Miss that, we didn't learn a lot from that team last week, but I thought they looked good against Mercer. I thought Jackson Dart looked comfortable. I thought you found some receivers that could come up big this year. Obviously, you know what you have in your running back, so and obviously the defense looked good, but for those reasons, I could be completely wrong on this, but I'm just going to have to take Ole Miss minus 7.5. I think it still could be close, but I'm thinking it could be in that probably around 10-point range.
I'll be more harsh than you two were by a lot. I think this Tulane narrative is a joke. I think this team is nowhere close to as good as they were last year. They lose everybody and return one player that happens to play quarterback, and somehow everybody forgets they lost anybody else on the roster. I think the narrative around this team is a joke. I think this line is a joke, and I agree with Brett. Ole Miss blows them out of the water.
Wow.
This is not even a close game. Those fans might as well go home before the end of it.
Group lock out of the gate, and last week we were 2-0 on group locks, and that has not been our strong suit through the years. 6 o'clock tomorrow night on ESPN Plus in Jonesboro. The Memphis Tigers are 21.5-point favorite over Arkansas State. The Tigers lead this series all time 32-24-5, but Arkansas State leads it in Jonesboro 13-8-1. First meeting ever was in 1957, last meeting last year, 44-32 with the Tigers getting the win. Bryant, you pick first.
I'm going to go with Arizona State or Arkansas State in this one, just because one, I think if I pick Memphis to blow them out, then it's going to be a much closer game, and I want the Tigers to win and win comfortably. So I'm kind of wanting to take a loss on this one to push the Tigers to a victory. But when you look at everything surrounding this game, you look at Memphis winning comfortably last week and taking care of business against the FCS opponent. Arkansas State, the blowout. I've talked about this earlier today, that I just think there's a lot of things that could go sideways. I think Arkansas State's going to come out and want to prove that they're not that team that lost 73-0, that was just a fluke. That was a really good Oklahoma team. I think they want to prove to their fans and to a lot of people in the national media that was calling for their head coach to be fired right after that game was over. I think they're going to want to prove it to a lot of people that they are much better than what they showed. And for the Tigers, a little complacency could get in there. I mean, they could go over there and start off slow, and this could really be a game. I hope the Tigers take care of business. I hope they cover the spread, but because I'm just thinking of what could go wrong, I'll take Arkansas State.
Jay Morgan.
I'm going to go the other way on this one.
Me too.
Solely because I think that there's too many people that are too confident in Arkansas State coming off this game. This series is always close, and that. And that might be true. Very well could be true. The series is always close. But I just have a feeling Memphis boat races them in this one. I'll even take 3 touchdowns in that terms of confidence. 21.5 Memphis.
Tigers big in this one. I have the Tigers winning 45-10. And you mentioned a word, Brian. I know why you did it, and I understand that. But you mentioned the complacency word. I don't think the Tigers have done enough in the Ryan Silverfield era to ever get complacent. Yeah. And they better be real careful with that. And I don't think this one can even be close. And I can't imagine our conversation Monday if it's a loss, but I don't think it's going to be. Tigers win 45-10. 6 o'clock on ESPN, the big one, all eyes on Tuscaloosa. Alabama, a 7.5-point favorite. We never have just 7. We always add a half point. We don't push 7.5. Alabama over Texas. Steve Sarkisian in his 3rd year started last week with a win. He's 14-12 in his 3 years at Austin, 60-47 in his 10 years as a college coach. On the other side, it's the greatest coach in history of college football. But Alabama has had trouble historically against Texas, but Nick Saban has not. 7-2-1 all-time. Texas leads this series. The last time they met in Tuscaloosa, 1902, and no, I was not at the game. Roll Tide, 35-13, Alabama.
I'll go next because, Brett, I have a rule that I live by when it comes to Nick Saban and really Kirby Smart as well, that I don't like to bet against them. We've been going on, what now? This is the third year?
Hold it. Don't like or never.
I've got a feeling this seems like a reappropriation of my rule.
Oh, ask Brett. This has been my rule for this our third year doing picks.
No, the Bryant Dacus rule was never against Nick Saban.
Never. I never bet against Nick Saban. You either bet for him or you don't bet at all.
Okay.
And
all right, I'm writing down Bama, right?
With that being said, I'm going to take Texas. It was a close game last year.
Trickeration on us, huh?
Brett, you need to be a little nicer to the Horns. You've said some things today about the Horns that I don't respect.
I loathe them.
Brett, they're your future SEC brethren, and you need to respect
Line forms at
them.
the end. You arrogant, you know what?
But this was a close game last year down in Austin, and I think it could be a close game for one sole reason. I mean, this is a team that's joining the SEC next year. And let's say Alabama goes out and beats them by 3 touchdowns. Do you know the response from the SEC world to Texas? Oh, we knew you didn't belong here. We know. See, this is how it's going to be every single week for you in the SEC next. And that is the truth. But I think this is going to be a close game. I know Jalen Milroe had a good game. I think Jalen Milroe will be a good quarterback. But that was last week against Middle Tennessee. I think this Texas defense will be a little tougher. I think it could be a back-and-forth game. And so I think Texas stays in it. And because we've got the hook on there with 7.5, I'll take Texas.
I'll even go so far to say I don't like Austin, and I know that is heresy among so many because I think all Austin is Berkeley of the South. Jay Morgan,
I would like to I would like to amend Bryant's rule because I have my own rule regarding Alabama and Georgia for that matter. Sure. It's not we never bet against them. Now you just sound like
never bet against.
Now you just sound like a quack, Brian.
Why is that?
No. You never
respect
you
them.
You never look for the spot. Like people try and pick the spot. Oh, this is a bad spot for Alabama. A bad spot for Georgia.
Rule.
Yeah, just amend your rule. Just a word
See
change
what Texas does? It's got us all yelling at each other.
It's crazy.
Just a word there, a word here.
I'm right there.
Amend it just a little bit, and you're perfect. You're golden there.
Gotcha.
You got it. Yeah, exactly. So, but I'm not going to follow my own rule in that regard today, and I'm taking Texas. I'm not really sold on either of these teams. I'll start with Alabama. I think in 2023, if you don't have a quarterback that can throw the ball downfield, I can't bet on you ever. And I don't think Alabama has a good enough passing game to play football in 2023. That being said, I don't trust Quinn Ewers. I think he is one of the most overrated quarterbacks in the nation.
Got a great mullet, though.
He does.
Cut it off.
My favorite play on this game, if you're betting this in real life, you need to hammer this under. This game is going under. And if I like the under in this one, it just makes sense I need to take the points, and that's the only reason I'm taking Texas. Give me the points in this one.
What is the over and under in this one? Around 53?
Yeah, it was like 54 or something this morning.
54, yeah.
Okay, and Bruce Marshall has 35-18 Bama, and I have 35-13 Bama. 6 o'clock tomorrow night on SEC Network. Mississippi State at home at Davis Wade Stadium in Starkville, Scott Field, minus 9.5 points over Arizona. Arizona travels to Starkville, and they have not won but one game ever against SEC opponents. They're 1-6-1 all time against the SEC, 0-6-1 on the road. The lone victory over SEC team came at home over Auburn in 1976. Give me Mississippi State to double up the Wildcats, 34-17.
I think Jaden DeLora, the starting quarterback for Arizona, is the most underrated quarterback in the Pac-12. There's a ton of great quarterbacks. We always talk about the quarterback play in the Pac-12. I think Arizona has a really, really good one, a guy that's been in the conference for a long time. So I'm going to take Arizona. It's a big number here, 9.5, nearly double digits in a game between two Power 5 teams. So I'm not saying that Arizona wins this game outright, but I do like them keeping it to single digits.
I want to echo so much of what Bryant just said there. I watched their game last week against Northern Arizona. Yeah. Remind me the quarterback's name again?
Jaden DeLora.
They were raving about him the whole game, and he looked really good, man. He's slinging the ball downfield. I like him. On the other side of the ball, they have former Georgia defensive lineman Bill Norton, former CBHS Christian Brothers standout. He's transferred to Arizona this year. He got a sack last week. I liked watching this Arizona team. I really did. Yeah. On the other side, I bet on Mississippi State to cover last week, and they did, but they got it to a little bit of a slow start. Based on my optimism with Arizona State and kind of my pessimism with the way Mississippi State started last week, I'm willing to take the points in this one as well. Again, like Bryant said, not necessarily saying Arizona's going to win, but I'll take the points in this one. Yeah.
Let's stay right there with you, Jay Morgan. Give us your college football lock and shock.
My lock this week is going to be UTEP minus 1.5. UTEP.
Wow.
UTEP has not won a game against a Power 5 school ever.
Wow.
And they're favored this week.
And you're shocked?
That tells you they should be. And they'll win. My shock is New Mexico State at Liberty, plus 10.5. They win outright this week.
Wow.
My college football locks, Texas A&M, minus 4.5 at the U. I think they win 38-16. My shock, NC State, plus 7.5 at Carter Finley. Goalposts come down. They win 24-23, and you get your field storming.
Yeah.
Bryant, you're lock and shock for college.
My lock's going to be Wisconsin minus 6.5 against Washington State. I like Wisconsin. I think they're the better team. I like them by at least a touchdown. And then my shock, I'm going to take UMass plus 7.5 versus Miami of Ohio. I did not like what I saw from Miami of Ohio against the U. UMass on the other side. Even though they got blown out against Auburn, I thought they looked good in that game. They won their game in week 0, so I'll take them plus the 7.5.
NFL time, and we got to get in hurry up, no huddle offense. First time all year,
Yeah.
I had to signal in that play. Noon on Fox on Sunday. San Francisco minus 2.5 at Pittsburgh. Give me the Steelers straight up, 16-14.
I'm also going to take the Steelers in this one.
Hey, group lock.
Jay Morgan?
Yeah,
Group
lock.
Group
Wow.
lock, a second one. 3:25 on Fox, late afternoon on Sunday. The Chargers, 3.5 over Miami. Give me the Chargers, 38-31.
I'm going to go go the other way in this one. I'm going to take Miami.
Same for me. No Teron Armstead, doesn't matter to me. Second most important play to lose, by the way, but doesn't matter. I'm taking Miami in this one.
Sunday night football, NBC 720 on Channel 5 in Memphis. Dallas minus 3.5 at the Giants. Giants with the straight up win, 23-21. Bryant, I got Dallas down. I know you're picking Dallas.
Dallas, and they win big.
Jay Morgan,
Bryant, 88% in divisional week 1 games, home dogs.
They're going to be that 22%.
Give me a break. I'm taking that's 18%, Mr.
That's
Math.
that's only
12%. Yeah, 12%.
That 12%, even better.
I'm taking the Giants, easy.
NFL lock and shock for me. Seattle minus 5.5 over the Rams for my lock. My shock, DeMeco Ryans keeps it respectful, keeps it respectable, and keeps it close in Baltimore, plus the 10.5. Jay Morgan, your lock and shock.
My lock is the Commanders, minus 6.5. I mean, I've never in my life considered taking them a touchdown favorite, and that makes me want to take them this week. So I'm taking them. And then the Browns, just like I just said, divisional home dog Browns this week, easy.
For my lock, I'm gonna take the Eagles minus 4.5 against the Pats. I don't trust the quarterback in New England, so I'll take Philadelphia in that one. And then my shock, I'm gonna go right back to what Jay Morgan said. I'll take the Browns plus 2.5 over the Bears. I think Cleveland has something to prove. Their quarterback has something to prove, and so I like that a lot.
And the weather forecast for the weekend on this Friday football forecast from First National Bank and Trust is delightful. May need a jacket fourth quarter in Jones Boogie tomorrow night, and it'll be universal with everybody. This is one we can check off on the bingo card. Feels like football season will be said. That's our First National Bank Friday football forecast, a division of First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas for real estate, commercial, ag, hunting. Call the people at First National Bank and Trust, now firmly established in West Tennessee, or go to their website, fnbt.com, or call them at 901-498-5763.
Let's get to our final break of the day. When we come back, we'll wrap up today's show with Taco Bell Crunch Time.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
I know the sweetest thing in Memphis, and I know it's been around for 120 years. You know, I'm talking about Dinstall's, and it's time to stock up heavy on Cashew Crunch, Heavenly Crunch, Turtlettes, all of your favorite Dinstall's treats to watch the playoff games and to watch all the basketball. It's so easy to get. The sweetest thing in Memphis, all you have to do is head to Laurelwood or head to Germantown and Poplar right across from the hospital, or go where they make the candies. That's on Pleasant View. There's nothing that says Memphis better than Cashew Crunch with that little tinge of coconut, or the Turtlettes. Let's face it, there's nothing better than Dinstall's chocolate. That's the mainstay of all candies, isn't it? Milk chocolate, although their dark chocolate is pretty darn good. And if you get the peppermint with the dark chocolate and put it in the freezer, you're going to love it. So many ways to love Dinstall's. 115 years of making Memphis oh so sweet. Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis in Olive Branch has an offer you can't refuse. They will pay you to do business with them if you want luxury. And I'm talking the Genesis G70 car. If you would love to have that kind of new technology, they will give you a $1,000 rebate when you finance with Genesis Motor Finance. In other words, they'll pay you $1,000 to do business with them, and you get brand new luxury. You can't beat it. That's Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis, right at the corner of Craft Road and Highway 78 in Olive Branch. Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis in Olive Branch, where customer retention is amazing. There's a reason. They take care of you with a team that's been together for a long time. Whether it's finance or whether it's service, you can't beat them. Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis.
Chris Price here with Metro Builders. Is your roof leaking? Do you have mold stains on the ceiling of your home or business? Is your carrier denying your claim or offering a repair because they just don't have enough documentation? You need a contractor that performs work for insurance carriers each and every day, and Metro Builders is here to assist. This is why you call Metro Builders. At Metro Builders, we provide free estimates and consultation and love to assist homeowners with their claims. Metro Builders' process of arriving, inspecting, and diagnosing problems is second to none. Our team of Hague-certified technicians are standing by to assist you with providing estimates and photos to your carrier to document your loss. And the best part of all you owe is what your policy states. No large fees on top of the final scope. We use high-grade materials and are certified by companies like Atlas, CertainTeed, Owens Corning, and even Mulehide. We offer best-in-class warranties on all of our jobs, up to 50 years. When it comes to roofs and restoration, call Metro Builders to schedule your free inspection. Call me. 901-375-1717. That's 901-375-1717.
There's an institution in East Memphis that I love talking about. It's the Spirit Shop at 4848 Poplar Avenue, right down the street from Clark Tower, and it looks like a log cabin. It's been around Memphis since 1969 with a family-owned, friendly, knowledgeable sales staff that is just a wonderful place to go. I love going in and talking wine or bourbons, and they've got such great selection. So if you've not visited the Spirit Shop in a while, it's been remodeled. You'll love what you see when you need spirits. Tell Eddie Wollo said hello.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Hewlett & Dunn, Boot and Jean Company in Collierville. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy! This is for all the biggest crunch time.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye! Hello, Haskins.
It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin, this baby is over.
The Double Steak Grilled Cheese Burrito, so good. Double the steak with nacho cheese sauce, seasoned rice, red strips, sour cream, and the 3-cheese blend wrapped inside a warm flour tortilla, with even more 3-cheese blend grilled on the top. The Double Steak Grilled Cheese Burrito, it hits the spot now at Taco Bell. And at Taco Bell, when they say they are feeding people's lives with unexpected good, they mean it. Bowl food you can't get anywhere else.
What I learned today is that the Lions are for real. What they did last night against Kansas City is something that I was questioning. I wanted to kind of...
I hope so.
Yeah, I did too, but I wanted to watch because I've heard all of this hype this week, and I've heard a lot, or not this weekend, this off season. I've heard a lot of people talk about them kind of being that team this year, but after being the Hard Knocks team last year, a strong finish this season, I didn't know if we were just buying too high on this group. But watching last night, I know that there were some injuries there. Obviously, Chris Jones didn't play. There were some key guys out for Kansas City. But watching them play, watching them stay in there, watching them make life very tough for those Kansas City receivers, I'm all in on the Lions.
I learned today that U.S. basketball will now play in the third place game, the bronze medal game. If they lose that, they're fourth place at FIBA in the Philippines. And I think a lot of people should heavily criticize Steve Kerr. I roundly reject. I will never submit to the rest of the world is catching up with us. Right. Not when we're committed, not when the team is constructed properly, and not when it's coached properly. There's no way I send Steve Kerr to Paris next summer. There's no way. I would not let him handle that team next year. I thought it was poor there, and I think a lot of the excuse making about the world catching up is to shield Steve Kerr from heavy criticism. He deserves it.
Well, I'll stick right there with you with what I could have done without, because I didn't watch any of the game this morning. I honestly forgot it was on this morning, but and I was asleep. But that's beside the point. I didn't watch any of it, but waking up and seeing that Germany beat Team USA in the semifinal game was shocking to me. I know Germany has NBA guys on their team, but I thought that after that Lithuania win, hearing some people talk, hearing that coaching staff, some of those players, the media talk, saying that, I think that woke them up. That's what they needed to happen, and that woke them up, and they're gonna win out, and maybe they lose in the medal game, but they're gonna get there, and it's gonna be a tough fight. This woke them up, and so to see them lose this morning was a little disappointing for sure.
You didn't do it, but some of the excuse making about, well, they have NBA guys. Yeah, they have 4 or 5 NBA guys. You know how many NBA guys the United States has?
All of them.
12.
Yep, that's right.
I could have done without the trust fund punks last night protesting at the U.S. Open. So this is what we're going to get down to, huh? So 2 people can disrupt and displace 20,000 people, and even more watching at home on TV, and the participants in that. I want to see how the rest of this plays out. Do they go to jail? Are they bailed out by the terrorist organization that supports them? I want to see what happens. And then if you glue yourself to anything, keep ripping till you rip them up from the glue.
Yeah. Where are you beaming tonight?
Beam me right here to the Crescent City, Nolans, the Big Easy. See, I'm getting the check mark
You're
in.
getting ready. You're getting prepared.
I'm getting it all in. And I'm getting ready for tomorrow, 12:30 airtime for us, kickoff at 2:30. It should be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to being on Tulane's stately and august campus. I really am.
Absolutely. Jay Morgan, where are you beaming?
I think beam me to Los Angeles, California, to beautiful Paramount Studios for
Oh.
Big Brother Live Week, and it's a good week in Big Brother House.
I like it. I think I am going to beam over to Kansas tonight and watch Illinois versus Kansas.
And against Burt Bielema.
That's right. So I'm going to go see that game tonight. Should be a pretty fun game. The line is 3.5 right now for Kansas. So Vegas obviously thinks it's going to be a close one.
I almost went Illinois, my college football shock. Has Kansas done enough to be that big a favorite over a pretty good Brett Bielema coach team? We'll see.
Good question. Yeah.
Tonight, also, we'll be watching everything this weekend. Texas at Bama. Can Bama get to Quinn Ewers? Jalen Milroe, can he play anything like last weekend? Sark versus Saban. Seth Hennigan on the road for the Tigers. They cannot lose, and they won't. Coach Prime tomorrow. A&M at the U, Arizona at Mississippi State, Auburn, Layton, Berkeley, and then the NFL all day on Sunday.
A good weekend of sports with college football, week 1 of the NFL, also some really good series starting tonight in Major League Baseball. But keep it tuned here all weekend. We've got you covered. Ole Miss at Tulane tomorrow at 12:30, Packers at Bears on Sunday, 3 p.m., Cowboys at Giants at 7 p.m., and then Monday we've got you covered Bills and Jets, so you can hear everything right here. But that's all the time we have this afternoon. Enjoy your weekend. We'll talk to you again on Monday.